Chapter 817. 3 Chances. The Profound Pavilion was Lady Providence's residence in the God Realm's Inspection Department. It was located on the central continent of the God Realm's 9 continents. The God Emperor had personally chosen this place for her. It occupied a vast expanse of land, surrounded by mountains and rivers. The scenery was breathtaking. Who knew how many of the God Realm's old-timers drooled over it? However, they could only itch in their hearts. They didn't dare say anything. Originally, the God Emperor had wanted her clansmen to live here as well. However, as far as outsiders knew, Lady Providence was the only one who lived here. Her clan lived on the Northwest Great Path in Yao territory. Lady Providence lay wearily on her bed in her bedroom, sighing from time to time. She'd just returned from the God Emperor's visit. That old bastard Xiao Ting really had done exactly what he'd said and done. Just now, the God Emperor had summoned her to question him. For a full 3 days, she'd stayed in the God Emperor's sacred palace and bickered with that old bastard Xiao Ting. Her mind was exhausted. Creak! At that moment, someone opened the door to her room. Lady Providence acted as if she hadn't heard anything. She continued to lie lazily on her bed. Did you just go to the God Emperor's place? There was actually someone else in the Profound Pavilion. If the outside world found out, it would undoubtedly cause a huge uproar. The speaker's tone was very soft. Lady Providence rose and shrugged. That old bastard Xiao Ting accused me of something. The God Emperor summoned me for questioning. Pay attention. When Lady Providence spoke, she referred to herself as Aina. From this, it could be seen that she viewed the other person as an equal, and that they were very close. If word of this got out, the God Realm would be thrown into turmoil. After all, Lady Providence seemed to treat everyone in the God Realm with indifference. A few hundred years ago, her clan had begged her for help, but she'd heartlessly refused. Now, however, she referred to herself as I. That meant the identity of the person she was talking to was worth considering. Xiao Ting, that old bastard is pretty bold. He actually dared accuse you in front of the God Emperor. Given your relationship with the God Emperor, who in the God Realm would dare to do anything to you? Said the woman disdainfully. Even though Xiao Ting was an emperor of the God Realm, she still called him Old Geezer. My relationship with the God Emperor is indeed not something that an ordinary person can change. Lady Providence was immodest. She shrugged and smiled. However, there's no need to be so certain about it. No matter what, that old fella is still a monarch of the immortal world. He controls the lightning tribulations of all races. He has some respect in front of the God Emperor. Otherwise, the God Emperor wouldn't have summoned me to the God Palace for questioning. Then, did you get into trouble? The woman raised her eyebrows. Of course not. However, he had no choice but to go against me this time, said Lady Providence with a calm smile. It's just a small trick. The woman was still as disdainful as before. It is indeed a small trick. However, these small tricks are the most useful at times like this. Lady Providence laughed calmly. But that son of yours really is ruthless. His fortune is practically on par with the God Emperor's. Tell me, how did you manage to have a son like that? The woman's expression stiffened. Then she said worriedly, Zichin, is he all right? He's fine. With me personally taking action, do you really think anything could possibly happen to him? Lady Providence pursed her lips. She waved her hand, and a fruit appeared out of thin air. This time, I've been tainted by the karma of the mortal world. Don't you think you should make it up to me? Is that my fault? The woman rolled her eyes at Lady Providence. I just asked you to go down and help me check on Zichin. I never said you had to do anything. You rashly interfered, and now you want me to make it up to you? Hey, how can you be so unreasonable? I help you save your son and daughter-in-law. That's Yali too? The woman said indifferently, you really put in a lot of effort to give that bell to that girl. That bell contains half of your power, and you gave it away, just like that? Even if you want to repay a favor, you shouldn't do it like this. Lady Providence's expression was somewhat unnatural. It belonged to her in the first place. As soon as she finished speaking, she took another bite of the fruit in her hand. However, the originally delicious fruit became dull and tasteless at this moment. She tossed the fruit aside and said, "Don't say that I'm repaying you. Your luck there is too heaven-defying. The way I see it, there's no way the God realm can tolerate him. Even if that old geezer, Shao Ting, doesn't do anything, the other old-timers, or even the God Emperor, might step in and destroy his destiny." "Yes." The woman nodded. "Can you not be so calm? Even if you're a saint, you should have some emotional fluctuations. That is your son. Really, when I brought you to my mansion, you weren't like this. Could it be that after receiving the inheritance of the seven-star saint, you not only inherited his secrets, but also his temperament?" Lady Providence furrowed her brows in annoyance, but the woman maintained her calm demeanor and spoke unhurriedly. "He has his own destiny. So what if I'm anxious? You should know this better than I do, right? Then how do you want him to ascend to the God realm?" said Lady Providence. "That old geezer, Shao Ting, already said that 99 bolts of heavenly lightning is the limit, but with each bolt, its power doubles. Your son's chances of resisting 99 bolts of heavenly lightning and ascending are slim. I've already divined all of this. In this life, he has 3 chances to ascend to the God realm." 3 times? The woman nodded indifferently. "The first is the good fortune you gave him. The second is the good fortune of the struggle for supremacy in the lower realms. The third is his 10th reincarnation as a saint." "His 10th reincarnation?" Lady Providence arched her brows. "Isn't he only reincarnated 9 times? Then he'll reincarnate once. He only has 3 chances in this life. If he doesn't succeed in all 3, then he has no hope of ascending to divinity." Only then did the woman's expression waver slightly. No matter what, Yi Zichen was her son. She couldn't possibly reach a state where her heart was as still as water. "Then I can only wish that kid good luck. I actually hope he can ascend. If he does, the God realm might become much more fun," said Lady Providence with a smile. "Let's not talk about him. Did you meet anyone special on this trip to the mortal realm?" "Xiao Yuli doesn't need to be mentioned. I noticed all of this. I really did meet 2 interesting people on this trip to the lower realms. One is Xiao Yume, right? Who's the other?" Chapter 8:18. The Su sisters' first encounter for cultivators of the 3 realms. Secluded cultivation took months or even years. 3 days was nothing more than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. But to Su Luer and the others, even that short amount of time was torturous. Before returning to the God realm, Lady Providence had said that Yi Zichen and Su Yin would awaken within 3 days. Right now, there were only 6 hours left. "Don't always look so worried. Big Sister Providence said she'd wake up in 3 days, so she definitely will." Xia Kiki was the calmest of them all. It wasn't that she wasn't worried about Yi Zichen and Su Yin, but that was just how she was. The others simply nodded calmly, but the worry on their faces didn't lessen in the slightest. "How is it?" Yuan Hong appeared outside the hidden land, his body wrapped in bandages. Su Zhu and Fatty Yin stood by his side. Su Zhu had supported Fatty Yin on his way here. Releasing the 6th level, soul-locking formation had caused his spiritual energy to dry up. Even if he'd eaten a miraculous pill, it wouldn't be easy to recover from the damage to his core. After Gu Li was taken away by the Buddha, the North Pole Emperor summoned old Lord Taishang of the Heavenly Court and treated their injuries. Don't be fooled by their current injuries. Given a few more days, they'd be more energetic than anyone else. "Why are you all here? Didn't I tell you to rest well?" Su Luer frowned. "We were worried about Brother Yi, weren't we? Big Brother kept sending me transmissions, telling me to tell him as soon as he woke up." Yuan Hong, who was wrapped in bandages and leaning on a walking stick, smiled helplessly. "Are there any signs of Brother Yi and Lil Yin waking up?" The others shook their heads. Lady Providence had left them with less and less time. This made their moods grow heavier and heavier. Su Luer clutched the jade slip Lady Providence had given her. A few hours ago, she'd wanted to use it to ask. However, when she remembered that Lady Providence had many matters to attend to in the God realm, she resisted. "Buzz!" At that moment, a ripple appeared within the hidden land. Without the slightest hesitation, they hurried inside. Outsiders weren't supposed to enter, but at a time like this, Su Luer wasn't in the mood to worry about that. She let them follow. After walking into the secret place, everyone was stunned. Su Yin leaned against Yi Zichen's chest on the jade bed. There was a faint green glow around her, and pure life aura was constantly being released from her body. As the plants in the secret land absorbed this life force, they all grew crazily in defiance of the natural order. Sister. This time, it wasn't just her. Even Su Zhu covered her mouth in shock. Big sis. Everyone knew that Su Luer of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan possessed peerless talent for ice arts. She was nicknamed the Ice Empress. His younger sister, Su Zhu, could be said to be the strongest in the three realms when it came to the arts of charm and illusions. People in the outside world might think that they were the ones who made the Nine-Tailed Fox clan what it was today, but the older generation all knew back in the day, the head of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan had a healing technique that left the entire six realms in awe. Her nickname was the Life Empress. However, it had been far too long. The world only knew of Su Luer and Su Zhu, but they'd forgotten about the Empress whose healing abilities had shocked the entire six realms. Big Sister Lu, or is it really Big Sister? Su Zhu's cherry lips parted slightly, her expression filled with longing. When her big sister left, she was no more than 4 years old. She only vaguely remembered an older sister who loved to hug her, pinch her cheeks, and dote on her. She wasn't sure if it was really Su Yin, but this aura was so familiar, so warm. Su Luer gnashed her teeth and nodded. Her eyes were filled with excitement, and tears welled up in them. It really is Big Sister. Su Zhu arched her brows, then thought back to when Su Yin first entered the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. On that sunny afternoon, an uninvited guest appeared at the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's mountain gate. Her clothes were completely out of place compared to the others. She stood timidly in front of the mountain gate, her eyes filled with nervousness and panic as she looked at Su Zhu. Big Sister, who is she? Su Zhu turned to Su Luer and smiled. Su Luer didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and wrapped her arms around Su Yan's shoulders, then pointed at Su Zhu. She's the second head of our Nine-Tailed Fox clan, Su Zhu. From now on, you can call her second sister. Second sister. Su Yin looked as timid as ever, but there was nothing she could do about it. Everything here felt foreign to her, especially when, just a few minutes ago, she'd been with Kiki. She'd had so many dragons. Not long after, her older sister had appeared at Kiki's home and wanted to take her away. At the time, Kiki had refused, but the rest of the clan said that this older sister was. The head of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan said that fate had brought them together, and that it was her good fortune. When Kiki found out, she didn't insist. Just like that, she followed her older sister here. Along the way, that older sister told her that she was a fox Yao. She'd always interacted with people since she was a child. How could she not be nervous when someone claiming to be a fox Yao suddenly appeared in front of her? Now, that older sister wanted her to call this woman second sister. Didn't that mean she was also a fox Yao? Little sister? Su Zhu's eyes blossomed with a smile. She walked up to Su Yin, took out a handkerchief, and carefully wiped the dirt off her face. Then what should I call you? Su Yin? Su Yan's reply was quiet, but she was no longer as nervous as before. What a coincidence! Your surname is Su as well, said Su Zhu with a warm smile. Su Zhu smiled warmly, then heard Su Luer say, second sister from now on, Lil Yin is our little sister. Sure. At the time, Su Yin had thought having a little sister wasn't too bad, but later she realized. This little sister was actually a member of the Fox clan as well. More importantly, Su Luer had doted on this little sister far more than she'd ever imagined. She could use the clan's secret lands at will, and she'd never stopped supplying her with spiritual medicines and fruits. Some of the clan members had objected, but Su Luer had used tyrannical methods to suppress them. After that, not only did she not restrain herself, she became even more aggressive. Everyone in the clan, even Su Zhu, felt that Su Luer doted on Su Yin a bit too much. At the time, she hadn't understood, but now. Big sister, you knew all along, didn't you? Suju couldn't help but ask. Sulu shook her head, then nodded. In truth, before this, I wasn't too sure either. You weren't sure either? Chapter 819. The Lord of Seven Stars, a transmission? Suju was taken aback. At the time, I was in deep seclusion, suppressing my spiritual energy, when a transmission appeared in my sea of consciousness. Do you want to see your sister again? Sulu was deep in thought when this question suddenly appeared in her sea of consciousness. She instinctively spread out her spiritual awareness, then frowned and transmitted. Ooh, you don't need to know who I am. I just want to ask you, do you want to see your sister again? How laughable. Everyone knows I'm the head of the nine-tailed fox clan. What sister? Replied Sulu stubbornly. Is that so? But according to what I know, but as far as I know, when you were young, you had a sister. I'm not your enemy, so there's no need to be so cautious. I just want to ask if you want to see her again. If you do, I'll give you some pointers. Who the hell are you? Yes or no? Su Yin fell silent. Fragments of memories appeared in her chaotic sea of consciousness. She slowly clenched her fists and transmitted. I do. Then go to the dragon race right now and find a child named Su Yin. No matter how many times Su Lu tried to ask, it was like throwing a stone into the ocean. There was no response. That senior told me to go to the dragon race and find a child named Su Yin. When I arrived, I found her and brought her back. In truth, at first I was skeptical. I never would have guessed. She really was my sister. Su Lumer's voice was choked with emotion. Others might not understand, but only she, who'd truly experienced it, understood how important her sister's return was to her. That scene of heavenly lightning swallowing Su Yin tormented her for 100 years. 100 years. She'd always resented her own weakness. If she'd been as strong as she was now, perhaps her sister wouldn't have died. She'd always thought this way, always resented it. You could say that her tough exterior was just an attempt to hide her weakness. She wanted to use her strength to make her clansmen forget everything that had happened. Perhaps that would make her feel better. Suju knitted her brows in thought. After a long while, she transmitted again. Did that expert leave behind his name? Not yet, replied Sulu. Then do you know if she's a man or a woman? If I remember correctly, the one who sent the message was a woman. Then we can use some elimination methods. Those who know of Big Sister's existence are at least 10,000 years old. In the entire 3 realms, who do you think it is? Suju asked. There are indeed quite a few old-timers here, but they've long since stood aloof from worldly affairs. Our nine-tailed fox clan is a spirit beast lineage, so they wouldn't pay attention to us. Besides, they don't have the talent for deduction, so there should be no one else who can do it. No, there's another person, Suju said confidently. Sulu pondered this for a long time. Suddenly, she stared at Suju with a stunned expression. Could it be Lady Providence? Mysterious pavilion. Who's calling my name? At Lady Providence's level, if someone called her by her name, she'd be able to sense it. However, given her temperament, she wasn't in the mood to pursue the matter any further. She stretched lazily, then read through all the documents on her desk, then turned to the woman in front of the palace. If I calculate the time, your son should be awakening soon. This is going to cause quite a commotion. As his mother, shouldn't you make a bit of a ruckus and help him conceal his secrets? There's no need for you to say anything, said the woman indifferently. If you treat me like this again, then we can forget about being sisters. Lady Providence pursed her lips, but the woman paid her no heed. Her body glowed with light. In the blink of an eye, she'd changed into a deep blue Taoist robe with 7 stars embroidered on the back. TCH, it seems you came prepared. That's right. After all, he's your own flesh and blood. You say you don't care, but deep down, you definitely care. Lady Providence smiled playfully. The woman glanced sideways at her. Cut the crap and help me. All right. With that, Lady Providence put away her lazy expression. Her brows furrowed, and her fingers formed a series of seals. Heaven and earth shook violently. Rumble. Day suddenly turned into night. As the people of the God realm panicked, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper shone brilliantly in the sky. It seems that from now on, I'll be the only one left in the profound pavilion. Lady Providence sat cross-legged in the courtyard. She gazed up at the 7 stars overhead and couldn't help but sigh. In the center of the courtyard, the woman in the blue Taoist robe suddenly had 7 stars above her head. They shone brilliantly with the Big Dipper. 7 stars dazzle the world. As soon as she spoke, the Big Dipper shone brightly, their dazzling starlight eclipsing all the other stars in the sea of stars. Next, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper shot out 7 beams of starlight, connecting with the 7 stars above the woman's head. As the power of the starlight poured into her, the 7 stars above her head shone even more brilliantly. The Lord of 7 Stars has descended. At the same time, all the hidden experts and ambitious overlords of the 9 continents of the upper 3 realms were stunned when they saw the starlight of the Big Dipper. Immediately, everyone began to furiously analyze the situation. The Lord of 7 Stars was undoubtedly a saint. No matter which clan obtained this kind of aptitude, it would bring about a qualitative change to their clan. Saints. The sages here did not refer to the sages of cultivation level, but rather the sages of innate talent. Not only did the saint have an exceptional comprehension and cultivation speed, but her existence could also change the aptitude of the people around her. By following the saint for a long period of time, one could even break through the shackles that they had been unable to break through for a long time. On the other hand, the status of a Star Lord was even higher than that of a sage. Moreover, the higher the Star Lord, the higher his status. With this woman's status as the Lord of the 7 Stars of the Big Dipper, even the Emperor clans would extend an olive branch to her. 6 hours passed. The woman in the courtyard had also absorbed all the power of the stars. At this moment, when looking at her, one would feel that her body was a bit more ethereal than the starry sky. Even after absorbing the power of the starry sky, her strength had reached the level of a half-step ruler, but she was still as calm as ever. It was as if she was an emotionless person. Half-step ruler, not bad. Lady Providence clicked her tongue in wonder, but the woman only nodded calmly without saying a word. Seeing her like this, Lady Providence's heart skipped a beat, but when she thought about how she'd always been like this, she let it go. Seriously, forget it. I can't be bothered with you. But looking at the time, it's about time someone came to summon you. I like to see what kind of people come. With that, Lady Providence sank her energy into her dantian. Chapter 820. Chapter 820. Selection: The Descent of the 7 Stars shook the upper 3 realms. The patriarchs of the various clans had divined that that person had landed in the profound pavilion. What sort of place was the profound pavilion? It was Lady Providence's residence. This group of lobbyists sent by the clan were all bitter, but they could only brace themselves and rush over. However, when they arrived at the profound pavilion, even though the doors were wide open, no one dared rashly enter. The earliest had already been waiting outside for 2 hours, but all they could do was wait patiently outside. Without Lady Providence's permission, who would dare barge into the profound pavilion? Come in. An ethereal voice transmission appeared in everyone's ears. The group of people only dared to walk into the mansion after hearing it. More and more people gathered in the spacious courtyard. However, after entering, they all stopped and looked at Lady Providence, who sat in the courtyard's pavilion. Greetings, Lady Providence. Everyone bowed to Lady Providence. All right, dispense with the formalities. Lady Providence crossed her legs and waved them off impatiently. I know you've come for the Lord of 7 Stars, but she's not here. There's no need to rush. I'm close friends with the Lord of 7 Stars. Naturally, I'll help her choose a good place to go. Yes, yes, yes. No one dared slander her in the slightest. They could only smile wryly and agree. Then, tell me where you've come from and what gifts you've prepared. Lady Providence laughed playfully, then pointed to the side. Let's start with you. Lady Providence, I'm an elder of the Ironback Bear clan. Ironback Bears are but a second-tier Yao clan. Your clan doesn't even have a ruler, and you want the Master of the Stars to go to your place? Are you awake? I really don't know how you managed to deduce where the Master of the Stars would land. Fine, fine. You're eliminated. but put down your gifts. Lady Providence, I'm next. Lady Providence, I'm next. In less than an hour, Lady Providence had already filtered out more than half of the people. Only 2 clans remained. One of them was the Imperial clan, which had a long history in the God world. Of course, the history of the Imperial clan was so long ago that not many people knew anything about it. Lady Providence spared him purely out of respect for his family's ancestor. Next was the Vermilion Bird tribe of the demonic beast tribe. Since the Holy Beast tribe had invited them, they definitely had to stay. I'm curious. You don't know who the Lord of 7 Stars really is, do you? Do you have any idea what kind of status the Lord of 7 Stars has? As for the current 9 Thearch clans, why haven't I seen them yet? Are they so careless? Lady Providence furrowed her brows and cursed. The envoys outside didn't even dare let out half a fart. All right, I can't be bothered to filter anymore. Humans that aren't from the Emperor race, monsters that aren't from the Saint race, leave, but leave behind a greeting gift for me. Why? At that moment, one of the emissaries shouted, "Even if you're Lady Providence and the God Emperor's favorite, you can't slander us like this. Inviting the Star Lord shows your sincerity. Why did you eliminate all of us without even letting us see him? And now you want us to leave behind our greeting gifts? Don't you think you're going a bit too far? Everyone, don't you think so?" Absolute silence. The troublemaker thought he'd be able to attract the envoy support, but little did he know that all of them were keeping a respectful distance from him. The people next to him even shuffled to the side, afraid they'd be implicated if they stood next to him. Clap, clap, clap. Within the pavilion, Lady Providence clapped her hands and laughed. Suddenly, she transformed into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already in front of the emissary. Well said. Very courageous. Gulp. The emissary couldn't help but gulp, then heard Lady Providence laugh. Do you know what kind of resources a Star Lord needs to break through? Shang Zhongyong, you can learn it. A Star Lord indeed has the talent to become a saint, but without resources, he'll be reduced to a mortal. If you small factions want to use a Star Lord to change the talents of your clansmen, then you'll need enough resources to support the Star Lord's consumption. As soon as she finished speaking, she looked at the surrounding emissaries. Your clan's resources can't even compare to mine, yet you still dare to invite the Star Lord into your clans? I and the Star Lord are close friends, so shouldn't she be with me? But why didn't I ask her to stay? That's because I know my resources aren't enough to support her future path, so I had to choose a good place for her to go. Haven't you heard that a fine bird chooses a good tree to nest in? As for you, Brad. Lady Providence's gaze fell on the troublemaker. Just now, you slandered me about why I left you with a greeting gift, didn't you? Let me tell you, when a goose passes, you pluck its feathers, and when a beast leaves, you leave its skin. That's my rule. Understand? Thud. The emissary could no longer resist Lady Providence's pressure and fell to the ground with a thud. Lady Providence called out to the surrounding emissaries. If you haven't reached the level I mentioned just now, scram. Whoosh. The emissaries all left their greeting gifts, then fled in panic. Before long, only 10 remained in the courtyard. You. Lady Providence arched her brows and smiled. Lady Providence, why are you still testing us? Just now, you said that all humans who aren't from the Imperial clans and Yao who aren't from the Sacred clan should leave. Now that they've left, the ones left behind are naturally the human Imperial clans, Yao, and Sacred clans. I don't think anyone would dare lie to you, Lady Providence. The speaker was a scholarly youth. His smile was filled with confidence. Even in front of Lady Providence, he was calm and collected. Then where are you from? The Four Directions Pavilion, replied the scholarly youth with a calm smile. The Four Directions Pavilion was Emperor Bai An's faction and could be considered the strongest of the human and Yao clans. Whether it was in terms of resources or reputation, the Four Directions Pavilion was at the peak. The way he saw it, it was inevitable that the Lord of 7 Stars would return with him. The remaining men were visibly moved. Only one of them had a faint look of disdain in his eyes. Lady Providence didn't notice the emissary's expressions. She simply smiled and looked at the youth. Then, which highness of the Four Directions Pavilion are you? You jest, Lady Providence. How could I possibly be a highness of the Four Directions Pavilion? I'm just the third highness's page boy. The scholarly youth smiled modestly, but inwardly, he was rather pleased with himself. The third highness was the only one at Anne's side who wielded power. Anyone who could be his page boy was definitely a man of distinction. Page boy. Lady Providence smiled playfully, then shouted, "Scram!" Lady Providence. Lady Providence's expression darkened. Who do you think you are? A mere page boy. You're not even a highness. How dare you speak to me like that? Lady Providence. Chapter 821. Great Emperor Chow, phone Lady Providence, stared coldly at the scholar in front of her. Everyone in the courtyard could sense that her fury was real. In the face of such pressure, the scholar couldn't help but sweat. But then he thought of the mission the third prince had given him. Lady Providence, are you looking down on my four-way palace? The scholar had no other choice. He could only brace himself and use Anne's name to make Lady Providence feel a little apprehensive. Little did he know, when he said this, even the envoys around him couldn't help but shake their heads. Lady Providence's temper was definitely that of an assault type. Everyone in the three realms had to treat her with respect. Yet he actually wanted to use Anne's name to pressure her. Are you trying to use Anne to pressure me? Lady Providence's tone was biting cold. This sort of heaviness made the scholar's heart pound uncontrollably. But at this point, he had no other choice. He could only continue down this path. All he could hope for was that Lady Providence would give his majesty face. Spare his life. I wouldn't dare. The scholar bowed to Lady Providence. No matter what, I'm still a member of the Four-Way Palace. I've come here on behalf of the Four-Way Palace. Lady Providence, aren't you looking down on my Four-Way Palace by speaking to me like this? You have a sharp tongue, but do you think you're worthy of representing the Four-Way Palace? Lady Providence laughed disdainfully. Your Four-Way Palace is a big organization. Indeed, my tiny profound pavilion doesn't dare provoke you. But you say you represent the Four-Way Palace? Are you worthy? You're nothing more than a footboy, sent by an incompetent highness. How dare you act like this in front of me? Are you trying to provoke me? Or do you think that the highness you follow has a lot of power by Anne's side? Would he make an enemy out of me for a mere footboy? Or perhaps your Four-Way Palace is prepared to make an enemy out of my profound pavilion. Thud. The scholarly young man knelt on the ground, trembling as he kowtowed. Becoming enemies with the profound secrets pavilion was something he absolutely did not dare to do. Your Highness, please don't be angry. I was the one who spoke without thinking. The scholar's shoulders trembled as he kowtowed repeatedly. Xianji glanced at him indifferently and snorted. Scram. The scholar who was kneeling on the ground did not dare to show any disobedience. He really forced himself out of the courtyard and out of the profound pavilion. Lady Providence, what an imposing aura. Suddenly, a light laugh rang out in the air. The emissary within the courtyard couldn't help but be startled. Who exactly was this person to actually dare to fly in the sky above the profound pavilion? Impudent. Without any hesitation, Xianji's primordial spirit emerged from his body and turned into a hand seal, slapping towards the void. As soon as the hand seal appeared, heaven and earth changed color. The surrounding laws became chaotic under his palm. Strong winds swept up crushed rocks, and the mountains shook and the earth trembled. Those who could come here to recruit the Star Lord were considered to have a higher status in their respective clans. Of course, that servant boy was not counted. Everyone standing here was at least a Sky Supreme, but the instant Xianji's hand seal appeared, their faces paled. Even after using all of their divine power, they could only just barely block it. Is this Lady Providence's strength? The emissaries' hearts trembled. This was just a remnant power. They couldn't even imagine what would happen to the person facing it head-on. Lady Providence, why must you do this? Suddenly, 9 stars twinkled in the sky, forming a diagram of stars, mountains, and rivers. Boom! The hand seal was annihilated, and the star diagram dissipated. Many thanks for your leniency, Lady Providence, said a light laugh. I never would have guessed you'd come personally. In truth, when she'd slapped down with the hand seal, Lady Providence had already held back some of her power. The emissary's words weren't an exaggeration. However, deep down, she knew that even if she'd used all of her power, she wouldn't have been able to harm the newcomer in the slightest. "Stop hiding. Come on down." It was only at this moment that the person in the void finally revealed himself. His fingers gently pinched the hair on his temples, and a faint smile appeared on his angular face. "Greetings, Lady Providence." The newcomer had a scholarly air about him, and his every movement was scholarly and refined. "I can't accept your bow," said Xianji. Xianji turned to the side and avoided his bow. "Don't you agree, Emperor Chao Feng?" At first, the emissary's attendants found Xianji's attitude strange, but when she mentioned Chao Feng, "Greetings, Emperor Chao Feng," the emissaries all hurriedly bowed. Of the Dragon Emperor's 9 sons, Chao Feng ranked third. After the great war of demons and gods, the Dragon Emperor's 9 sons each occupied 9 continents. Some proclaimed themselves emperors, while others wandered aimlessly. Of course, there were also those who founded their own factions. Chao Feng was one of those who founded his own faction, but had no desire to proclaim himself emperor. But no matter who it was, whether or not they proclaimed themselves emperor, when the people of the God Realm and Yao Realm saw them, they would respectfully address them as emperor to show their respect. "Everyone, please rise." Chao Feng raised his right hand, and the crowd felt a gentle breeze lift them up. Even as they sighed inwardly at how approachable this emperor was, their hearts clenched. For this emperor to come at this time, everyone must have come to recruit talents, but I sincerely ask that you withdraw. As expected, the emissaries sighed inwardly. But since this emperor had come in person, the Master of the Stars would definitely follow him. No matter what, this emperor was the Lord of 9 stars, and his faction had countless lords of various sizes. To let the newly arrived Lord of the Stars decide, Emperor Chao Feng's star altar was the best place for her. Besides, this emperor had already given them enough face, so they could only go along with the flow. "Then let us congratulate you in advance on the addition of another Lord of 7 stars to your star altar." The emissaries all expressed their thanks and left. But before they left, they were very sensible and left behind their greeting gifts. "Emperor Chao Feng is indeed extraordinary. You've stirred up my business as soon as you arrived," said Xianji in a strange tone. That was just her temper. No matter who she was facing, she would definitely attack with force. Even though the person standing in front of her was Chao Feng, she couldn't help but mock him. But Chao Feng just smiled warmly the entire time. He didn't take her words to heart. His opponent didn't respond, so Xianji felt like her fists were landing on soft cotton. It was very boring. She stopped mocking him and went straight to the point. "Emperor Chao Feng, I wonder what sincerity you've brought to recruit my close friend. Perhaps you don't know, but the ones who stayed just now were all humans, emperors, Yao, and saints. You've done a good job of chasing away all of your competitors. Since you're the only one present, please show me some sincerity that satisfies me. Otherwise, even if you're the emperor, I can only say sorry." Chapter 822. Chapter 822. Concealing heavenly secrets, even though he said he had it, his hands were still empty. To tell the truth, when she'd fought Chao Feng, Xianji had been secretly sizing him up. She wondered what treasures he could offer. The way she saw it, the emperor must be very generous. Seeing that Chao Feng hadn't offered anything, Xianji furrowed her brows. "Then show me your sincerity." Heavens! As she spoke, she looked at the dazzling array of treasures on the ground and arched her brows. "Sincerity, are you using this opportunity to amass wealth?" Chao Feng smiled faintly at Xianji's mischievous expression. She didn't deny it. "Yes, I'm using this opportunity to amass wealth. Can I?" After all, they were best friends. Who knew how many years it would be before they ran into each other again? If she didn't use this opportunity to amass wealth, then when would she? Best friends should be used when needed. If she really couldn't do it, she could just split half with her. This was Xianji's philosophy. Seeing Xianji so straightforward, Chao Feng could only smile helplessly. "What are you shaking your head for? Show me your sincerity." Xianji clapped her hands loudly. Chao Feng could only smile bitterly. My sincerity isn't in these things. Chao Feng. Oh, Chao Feng, this is where you're wrong. When she heard that he didn't have any real objects, Xianji's way of addressing him dropped. I know you're an emperor and that the Star Altar is the best place for a Star Lord. To tell the truth, before you came, I thought about sending my best friend to your place. But no matter what, my best friend is the Lord of 7 stars. You want to get something for nothing? That's not very nice. You have to do something, don't you? Just. She moved closer to Chao Feng's side and furtively looked around the estate. Then she winked at him and deliberately lowered her voice. My best friend is on good terms with me. Don't be stingy. Give me some benefits and I'll sell my best friend to you. Hearing this, Chao Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Sell? You don't have to worry about the relationship between me and my bestie. Hurry up, let's make a deal. Give me 3,000 divine crystals and I'll sell my bestie to you. 3,000 divine crystals for the Lord of 7 stars. Brother, this is a good deal. It's indeed a good deal. Chao Feng nodded. Then what are you just standing there for? Hurry up and pay up, said Xianji anxiously. But I don't think it's a good idea to give it to her in front of her. Chao Feng smiled bitterly. What do you mean in front of her? Xianji paused. She turned her head and saw that her best friend had already appeared behind her. She looked at her with a seemingly sweet smile. Imperial Monarch Chao Feng, this is your path. How can the relationship between me and my best friend be measured by money? I'm choosing a suitable place for her, and you actually want to bribe me with money. Enough, stop acting. The woman rolled her eyes speechlessly, then bowed to Chao Feng. Emperor Chao Feng, you are the esteemed Lord of 7 stars. There's no need to bow so many times. Chao Feng kindly helped him up with his hands and spoke. How should I address you, Your Excellency? Yi Rong, Star Lord Yi. Chao Feng nodded at him and said, I sincerely invite Star Lord Yi to join my Star Altar. Everyone here is a Star Lord, so we can discuss our understanding of the stars with each other. This is definitely beneficial for Star Lord Yi, who has just fallen a star. Yi Rong understands. Of course, I won't force you. However, on my way here, I used the Milky Way to perform a divination. I know what you're worried about, Star Lord, so I'm here to help you resolve it. With that, a diagram of the Milky Way appeared beneath Chao Feng's feet. The stars on the diagram and the stars in the sky intertwined, and the stars enveloped each other. Buzz! The power of the stars instantly enveloped the 3 realms. Xianji furrowed her brows. What's going on? Star-Lord Yi has always been worried that her son would attract the attention of the people here. She deliberately guided the stars to her body, and it did have some effect. However, if she wants to fool everyone, she's still a little lacking. Chao Feng said with a faint smile. Just now, I used the Milky Way diagram to conceal the mysteries of the heavens. In this way, it can truly be considered as crossing the sea with the heavens. Yi Rong is willing to join your star altar. Dressed in her Taoist robes, Yi Rong bowed. Xianji couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. She joined just like that, but she hadn't even gotten her hands on any substantial benefits. This was an emperor. She'd feel terrible if she didn't rip him off a little. Star Lord Yi is willing to join my star altar. That's wonderful. Given your status as the Lord of 7 stars, barring any mishaps, you'll become an elder of the star altar within 3 years, said Chao Feng, his face brimming with joy. Chao Feng said with a face full of joy. Then his face darkened. However, Star Master, I can only say that your son was born at the wrong time. Big sister, have you thought of something? Suju transmitted calmly. When that name appeared in her mind, she pondered it for a long time. Second sister, why do you think Lady Providence told me all this? I don't know, said Suju, shaking her head. Suju shook her head. However, from the way she came to visit us, she doesn't seem to have any ill intentions towards us. Of course, given Lady Providence's methods, if she had any ill intentions, our 9-tailed fox clan would be destroyed in an instant. Su Luer transmitted her voice solemnly to him. But why? Big sister, there's no need to look for trouble, said Su Zhu with a smile. The Lady Providence has no ill intentions towards us, and even helped us find our eldest sister. Isn't that a good thing? You're right. Su Lu couldn't help but nod. Ever since she'd become head of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, no matter what anyone did, she'd always ponder their intentions. In truth, this was out of helplessness. It was hard to tell what a person's heart was. No one knew what the other was thinking. Even if they cooperated, there might be some hidden agenda hidden behind the scenes. As head of the clan, her every word and action determined the clan's future. Naturally, she had to consider everything carefully. But now it seemed that perhaps she'd been head of the clan for too long. Some things were no longer clear to her. What's going on? Suddenly, Xia Kiki cried out in alarm. The Su sisters, who'd been in the middle of transmitting, looked around and discovered that the plants in the hidden area were suddenly sending a steady stream of life energy back to Su Yin. Before long, the plants in the hidden area withered one after another. Something's wrong. Su Lu's expression darkened when she sensed something was off. She tried to step forward, but before she could take more than a few steps, Fatty Een pulled her back. What are you doing? It's what you're doing. Fatty Een, who'd exhausted all his spiritual energy, was unyielding. He glared at Su Lu and berated her. Chapter 823. The Emperor's Star Su Lu and Fatty Een bickered endlessly within the secret land. Fatty, please don't test my patience. After trying to stop them several times, Su Lu's anger was completely ignited. The atmosphere within the secret land grew heavy, and her pitch-black eyes turned from black to blue. Can you be a little more rational? Shouted Fatty Een with a frown. Who's the irrational one here? Su Lu's expression darkened. Can't you see that Lil Yan's life force is pouring into Yi Zichen? I know you're on good terms with him, but isn't Lil Yan's life also important? This is reverse nurturing. I know it is. When it came to Su Yin, Su Lu had lost all sense of rationality. Fatty Een sighed helplessly. Soon after, he extended his hand and pointed at the two people on the jade bed. Take a closer look. Is Su Yin the one pouring life force into Yi Zichen? She stared intently. On the surface, Su Yin was indeed pouring life force into Yi Zichen's body. But if one looked closely, they'd discover that as Yi Zichen's life force poured into his body, he was also subtly reverse nurturing her. It was just that Su Yan's actions were far too conspicuous, so Yi Zichen's reverse nurturing was overshadowed. Su Lu, who'd noticed the clues, dispersed her imposing aura, and her expression turned somewhat awkward. I don't know what happened between the two of them, but from the looks of it, their lives are connected. Su Yin is using her vast life force to nourish Yi Zichen, while he's absorbing her life force, purifying her flesh, and transferring it back to her. Fatty Een shrugged helplessly at Su Lu. Sister-in-law, please don't be so hot-tempered all the time. Although I'm not some almighty being, I'm still a supreme being of the God realm. I still have some eyesight and judgment. Can't you just trust me a little more? If I hadn't stopped you just now, you would have forcefully separated the two of them, and the result would have been that neither of them would have survived. Su Lu's expression stiffened, but she wasn't displeased at all. In fact, she rejoiced that Fatty Een had stopped her in time. She really had been too impulsive, but she couldn't control herself. As long as Su Yin was involved, she couldn't maintain her rationality. She was simply too worried that something would happen to Su Yin, which was why she ended up like that. This should be the so-called care will lead to chaos. That's enough, Een Shang. Sister didn't do it on purpose. You should stop talking, Su Zhu said. It's all right. I was indeed too impulsive just now. Su Lu stopped Su Zhu, then bowed slightly to Fatty Een. Thank you for stopping me just now. Thank you so much. This time, it was the fatty who felt a bit uncomfortable. As far as he knew, Su Lu was definitely not a good-tempered person. You don't need to think too much about it. I'm really grateful. Su Yin is really important to me. I'm really grateful that you stopped me just now. That's why things didn't get worse. Su Lu's tone was very sincere. Then, she put on a pleading expression. In your opinion, what should we do now? Will they be in danger? How long will it take for them to wake up? Such a humble Su Lu made everyone's eyes pop out of their sockets. Although her behavior was very strange, Fatty Een still replied, "I don't think there's any danger. From what I can see, there shouldn't be any danger, but when they will wake up depends on how long their reciprocal nourishment will last. By the way, didn't you say that when I was unconscious, there was an expert who saved them? Did that expert say when they would wake up?" Lady Providence said they'd wake up in 3 days. Right now, there's still 15 minutes until that time. Then let's. Just as Fatty Een was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed. He forcefully swallowed his words, then gulped. Who'd you just say it was? Lady Providence. Heavens! Fatty Een clutched his head in his hands, his face filled with astonishment. So was Lady Providence. Then you don't need to worry. If she said 3 days, then it'll definitely be 3 days. Just now you said 15 minutes, right? Then let's wait. In 15 minutes, they'll definitely wake up. But, no buts, interrupted Fatty Een. You weren't in the God realm, so you have no idea what Lady Providence's methods are like. I'll tell you this. They'll definitely wake up in 15 minutes. If you don't believe me, just watch. Time passed. They had endured for 3 days, but facing the last 15 minutes, it was so torturous. It's about time. Before Su Luer even finished speaking, they saw Su Yen, who'd received the nourishment of the secret land, return all of her life force. Before long, the vegetation in the secret land flourished once more. Furthermore, it seemed even more vigorous than before. At that moment, the nourishment between Su Yin and Yi Zichen was severed. Screech, roar, the cry of a phoenix and the cry of a dragon. An auspicious aura descended from the sky and enveloped the two of them. They sat up on the jade bed, their fingers interlocked, but their eyes remained closed. Not long after, phantoms appeared behind the two of them. Reincarnation. These were their 9 lives of reincarnation. Yi Zichen had reincarnated 9 times, and Su Yin had reincarnated 9 times with him. No matter which life it was, she'd always stayed by his side, never once leaving him. 9 lives of reincarnation, 9 lives returned to one. As he watched this, Fatty Een muttered to himself. At that moment, a dazzling light caught everyone's attention. The North Star. Up in the sky, the Emperor's Star, the North Star, glowed with violet light. It was so dazzling that it seemed capable of swallowing up all the other stars. This. Fatty Een stared blankly at the North Star, then at Yi Zichen. His eyes were closed, and his body floated involuntarily in the Emperor's Star's violet light. The Son of Providence. After all, the God Emperor was currently in the God realm, but now the North Star had suddenly lit up. This. Was the world about to change? The instant he said this, the stars in the sky suddenly fell. The supporting stars that accompanied the Emperor's Star, the North Star, all flew to different locations. Fatty Een, who was standing in the secret area, also received a call from one of the stars. He froze. In response to the star's call, he froze for a full 15 minutes until, "Hey, do you guys feel that strange call?" The one who spoke was Xia Kiki. She giggled and danced about, but Fatty Een saw the mark of star on her forehead. Fatty Een covered her mouth with his hand, then looked coldly at the people in the secret area and shouted, "Don't be so arrogant." Chapter 824. The Emperor's Star's Appearance. Chapter 824. The night was quiet. Bayan, dressed in his black dragon robes, stood in front of the waterfall, gazing into the night sky. Nighttime was his favorite time of day. On this night, he could see the constellation he loved the most. The Emperor North Star, the North Star. In 100,000 years, you've never appeared. I've endured 81 bolts of heavenly lightning, but you still haven't appeared. Am I not a true emperor in your eyes? Or do you think I need more time to settle down? Bayan sighed and gazed up at the North Star, his eyes filled with obsession. He wanted to become an emperor, and in this corner of the world, he was called Your Majesty. But no matter what, there was a God Emperor above him, suppressing him. He was still a subject. He'd always wanted to rebel, but he needed a justifiable reason. The Emperor's Star. This was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. The God Emperor had been the God Emperor since the beginning of the world. He hadn't become emperor by flattering the Emperor's star. In all the three realms, no one had ever caused the North Star to appear, and the person most likely to inherit the mandate of the heavens. Fine. How much longer do you want me to wait? Did you know that even when the Lord of Seven Stars appeared, I didn't send anyone to recruit her? Because I know that as long as I become emperor, she'll be my assistant. Bayan muttered to himself. In truth, he wasn't like this every night. It was just that the Lord of Seven Stars had shaken his heart a bit. Forget it. I'll just wait. With that, Bayan prepared to leave. At that moment, the Emperor North Star, the North Star, began to shine brightly. The Emperor's star had appeared. Practically all of the major powers of the three realms had noticed this, and the first thought they had was, is it Bayan? The major powers, who hadn't left their seclusion for a long time, used their lifeblood essence to perform divinations, but little did they know. Heaven's secrets were hidden. They hadn't been able to divine who had caused the Emperor's star to appear, but they knew that it wasn't Bayan. Quite a few of the major powers couldn't help but sneer. They didn't care who the Emperor's star was, as long as it wasn't Bayan. They all knew that Bayan had always believed himself to be the mandate of the heavens, but the Emperor's star still hadn't appeared. Now it looked like a joke, and this Bayan would become a laughing stock in the future. Who is it? The moment the Emperor's star appeared, Bayan had already begun divining. However, as he was making his deductions, someone had forcibly concealed the mysteries of heaven. Who is it? The black-robed Bayan roared furiously. At the same time, the stars around the Z-Way Imperial Star all lit up. I don't accept the mandate of heaven. I don't believe it. His face was filled with a sinister expression, and it took him a long time to calm down. Soon after, a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. Prime Minister, your subject is here. Not long after, Prime Minister Turtle appeared in front of the waterfall with a hunchback. You saw it too, right? The North Star has appeared. I saw it, but in my opinion, Your Majesty is a god who receives orders from the heavens. Prime Minister Turtle replied. Yes, you're right. This monarch is the one who should receive the mandate of the heavens. I order you to immediately investigate who it was that caused the Emperor's star to shine. Once you find out who it is, there's no need to report it. Just kill them. Yes. Prime Minister Turtle turned to leave, but before he'd taken more than a few steps, Bayan called out to him. You can start preparing. Since the Emperor's star didn't choose me, I won't trust it either. When he heard that, Prime Minister Turtle's body trembled. Then he nodded at Bayan. I'll go arrange it right away. The Emperor's star had lit up. The stars had descended. Within the hidden land, Fatty Een reached out and pulled Xia Kiki behind him, then stared vigilantly at everyone. The atmosphere suddenly became a little tense. Or perhaps it was more accurate to say that Fatty Een himself was nervous. Now, he suddenly recalled what Gu Zichen had told him, to get closer to Yi Zichen. In truth, Fatty Een wasn't the type to make friends. At first, he'd only interacted with Yi Zichen because Gu Zichen had asked him to take care of him. As time passed, he found Yi Zichen quite agreeable, so he got to know him better. But Gu Zichen told him not to lose his composure. How could friends lose their composure? Fatty Een didn't understand, but now. Yi Zichen had lit up the Emperor's star, and he himself had become an auxiliary star. No wonder, Fatty Een couldn't help but shake his head. He finally understood everything Gu Zichen had told him. He'd known all along that Yi Zichen would light up the Emperor's star, and that he was the Emperor's star's auxiliary star. To tell the truth, this was normally something to be happy about. For Yi Zichen to light up the Emperor's star meant he was the chosen of the heavens. In the future, he would become the upper three realms' only emperor. As his auxiliary star, once Yi Zichen became emperor, he would naturally be second only to the emperor. But he'd lit up at a time like this. Right now, the god emperor of the three realms was unshakable, while Bayan and a few other ambitious cultivators all wanted to proclaim themselves emperors. Now that Yi Zichen had lit up the Emperor's star, he'd become everyone's target. He'd forcefully turned a good card into the center of attention. As an auxiliary star, Fatty Een had no choice but to force those people into opposing him. He cherished his life. The way he saw it, nothing was more important than his own life. Furthermore, There were too many people here, and anyone could spread the news. If that happened, his life would be in danger. The way he saw it, the only person he could ally with was Xia Kiki, who'd also lost her auxiliary star. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'm absolutely not joking around. Fatty Ian frowned at the others, then frowned. Of course, the way I see it, the safest way is to erase your memories of what happened just now. Fatty Ian's face was ashen as he reached out with his hand. Slap. However, a gust of wind slapped his palm away. Fatty, what are you doing? We're all trustworthy people here. Even if they saw what happened, they definitely wouldn't spread the news. A dignified voice rang out in everyone's ears. They turned to see Big Brother Zichin. Zichin. Lilian. Yes, they'd already woken up, and they'd woken up at exactly the time Xuanji had said they'd awakened. That's strange. Don't you feel like Big Brother Zichin's different? Xia Kiki, who'd recovered from her pleasant surprise, suddenly stopped. She pressed a finger to her lips, and the others nodded in agreement. Yi Zichin smiled calmly, then nodded at Su Yan. The two of them descended from the sky. Even though he was smiling, there was a faint pressure about him. Emperor's might. Kid, you know, I can't call you that now. Fatty Ian licked his lips. After a moment's hesitation, he respectfully patted his sleeves, then knelt on one knee and kowtowed. Emperor Yi. The Emperor Star's appearance was the heaven's choice, and Yi Zichin was the only true emperor the heavens had acknowledged. As for Fatty Ian, who'd lost his auxiliary star, his future could only be for the sake of this emperor. Chapter 825. Emperor Star, Auxiliary Star, Fated Star. After Yi Zichin and Su Yan woke up, they naturally didn't stay there any longer. In addition, Fatty kept urging them to leave, fearing that the higher-ups would find them through their deductions. Thus, everyone in the secret land came to the pavilion where the Su sisters lived. In the living room of the loft, everyone took their seats. Zichin Ji is actually the heaven's chosen monarch. That's so cool. Xia Kiki blinked her bright eyes and examined Yi Zichin curiously. After waking up, Yi Zichin sensed the changes in his body. It wasn't just his strength, but rather his connection to the heavenly Tao. As long as he willed it, everything in this world would obey his command. As of now, the only known auxiliary stars are me and Kiki. Fatty Ian furrowed his brows. To be honest, I actually didn't want to be an auxiliary star. The current situation is simply too bleak. I'm Big Brother Zichin's auxiliary star too? That's wonderful. Then, her gaze landed on Su Luer. Big Sister Luer, why do you keep staring at Susu? Cough. Su Luer couldn't help but cough and avert her gaze. She didn't bother to explain. What are the Emperor stars and auxiliary stars you were talking about? I don't know much about them. The so-called Emperor star is the North Star of the Milky Way, the North Star. Because all the stars in the sky revolve around the North Star, people believe that the North Star is the Lord of all the stars. The North Star is known as the Lord of Divination, the Lord of Strategy, and the Lord of Politics. It is the Emperor star of the 5 North Stars. Naturally, it was Fatty Yin's turn to take on the role of a teacher. He paced back and forth in front of everyone and began a long lecture. The illumination of the Emperor star signifies the birth of the fated of heaven. You all saw it just now. The one who illuminated the Emperor star was Yi Zichin. Everyone nodded. Then Fatty Yin spoke again. The auxiliary stars are the supporting stars that surround the North Pole Emperor star. They directly represent the Emperor star's ministers, which means that the existence of the auxiliary stars is fully supporting the Emperor star. And there are too many stars in the Milky Way. When a star lord descends, a star will also enter their body. So the only way to determine whether or not one is an auxiliary star is to look at the stars that descend after the North Star manifests. They are auxiliary stars, and each person usually only has one auxiliary star. Is that so? Then at that moment, Su Luer suddenly opened her palm. Martial Song Star. In the center of Su Luer's palm was a glowing star mark. When Fatty Yin saw it, he cried out in surprise, then ridiculed her. Why is Wukwing a woman? Do you look down on women? Su Luer's expression suddenly grew cold. Her gloomy expression frightened Fatty Yin so much that he couldn't help but laugh dryly. That's absolutely not what I meant. It's just that in the primordial era, the martial star was generally inherited by men. Sister-in-law, I'm a bit surprised that you're actually trying to curry favor with the martial star. Let's not talk about that. Based on what you said just now, should I assist Yi Zichen? Yes. Fatty Yin nodded with certainty, while Su Luer glanced coldly at Yi Zichen. Assist Yi Zichen. Su Luer's heart was filled with endless reluctance. Back then, her big sister had died for him. In this life, Su Yan had almost died for him. The way she saw it, Yi Zichen was Su Yan's calamity. She had to assist someone like that. Everyone in the room sensed the strange atmosphere. Su Yan pursed her lips into a smile. It's too early to talk about assisting him or not, but isn't it great that my big sister became the martial song star and Zichen the emperor's star? At the very least, we're all familiar with each other. We're family to begin with. So what's the point of talking about assisting him or not? Su, the feeling you give me is different from before too, Xia Kiki suddenly said. Perhaps it's because of Zichen. Right now, our lifelines are connected. Perhaps it's because he's the emperor's star, so my aura has changed as well, said Su Yan. Su Yan's right, said Yi Zichen. At that moment, Yi Zichen followed up. There's no need for us to talk about assisting each other. Let's just be like before. That won't do, interrupted Fatty Yin, his expression dark. Since you're the emperor's star and we're the auxiliary stars, we naturally have to pay attention to etiquette. Fatty Yin interrupted him with a dark expression. You also have to be careful not to treat anyone carelessly. The emperor is the emperor, and there's a difference between him and his subjects. When you and I inherited the emperor's star and auxiliary star, we were already separated. No one understood why Fatty Yin was being so serious. They all knew that Yi Zichen and Su Yan were trying to ease the tension. However, Fatty Yin paid them no heed. In the future, they naturally understood that even if he said too much, they might not understand. Let's not talk about that for now. 2 of the 4 auxiliary stars have appeared. I am a minister of the left. Opening his left hand, Fatty Yin revealed a star diagram in his palm. The minister of the left is the head of the emperor's star's auxiliary stars. When the minister of the left descended, I gained the ability to distinguish between the stars. Sulu is the martial star, so our primary goal is to find a scholar star and the minister of the left. Those 4 stars are the emperor's star's 4 subjects. Then what star am I? I don't think I'm particularly important. At first, Xia Kiki was pretty happy. She had an auxiliary star and was Big Brother Zichen's assistant. But after listening to Fatty Yin's explanation, she realized her position as an auxiliary star didn't seem particularly important. You're the emperor's star's fated star. You can be considered a beauty who's shielding him from tribulation. Su Yin and Xiao Yumei should have this type of star as well. Su Yin and Xiao Yumei nodded, then spread their hands. Indeed, there was a star diagram in their palms, just like Xia Kiki's. The North Star's fated star is blessed with good fortune, but it's also blessed with many disasters. The fated star you're shielding from tribulation is actually far more important than us 4 subjects. We're just assistants, but you're the ones truly sustaining the Emperor Star's life. That makes me happy. Xia Kiki giggled. When he saw her silly expression, Yuan Hong couldn't help but tease her. Kiki, do you understand or not? You're here to shield Zichen from tribulation, but you might die if you do. That doesn't matter. I'm willing to shield Big Brother Zichen's tribulation. Xia Kiki didn't hesitate in the slightest when she said this. Her tone and expression showed that she was absolutely serious. Su Lu, Er's gaze fell on Xiao Yumei and Su Yan. They did the same. Su Lu, clenched her fists inexplicably. When she saw Su Lu, Er's longing gaze at Yi Zichen, she couldn't help but mutter to herself. If you need Big Sister to shield him from tribulation, then I'll do it. Little did she know, just as everyone's expressions changed, Chang stealthily opened her hand. In her palm was shockingly a... Chapter 826. Chapter 826. Heaven's Chosen Emperor, you talk too much. Noticing the change in the atmosphere, Su Zhu rolled her eyes at Yuan Hong. You're covered in bandages, but you can't stop talking. Believe it or not, I'll tell Big Sister Luer to beat you up again and keep you bedridden for a few more days. Yuan Hong realized he'd said the wrong thing. He laughed dryly, then obediently walked to a corner of the room to face the wall. Don't interrupt. Fatty Yin's expression grew unsightly as he watched everyone in the room joking around. As a minister of the left, he was the prime minister's star. He had to put the emperor's star first, scrupulously abide by his own rules and plan for the emperor. When he saw that everyone in the room had restrained their expressions, he finally opened his mouth. Earlier, I mentioned the scholar star and the minister of the right. Judging from the fated star, the minister of the left, Su Lu and Wu Chu, they should be acquaintances of the emperor's star. Since the heavenly mandate chose Emperor Yi to be the North Star, the heavenly mandate should have arranged for the auxiliary stars to be by his side before he manifested his star. Emperor Yi, you could try to find the minister of the right and scholar star through the people around you. Yi Zichen sensed Fatty Yin's solemn tone and knew he was thinking for his own good. He nodded. I'll be careful, but I've only just manifested my emperor's star. Besides, you've been watching over me and Lil Yin for so long. You must be tired. How about we put this matter aside for now and discuss it another day? That's fine, replied Fatty Yin without the slightest hesitation. Then, let's go. Everyone left. Before long, only the three Su sisters and Yi Zichen remained. They all looked at him. Sensing their gazes, Yi Zichen couldn't help but arch his brows. What are you looking at me for? Go get some rest. Emperor Yi, said Su Lu, through clenched teeth. This is our bedroom. If you stay here, do you want us to sleep with you after you've manifested your emperor's star? Ahem. I'll leave now. Yi Zichen hurriedly left the residence. As night fell, he gazed up at the stars. He gazed at the North Star, heaven's chosen emperor. Just as he gazed at the North Star, the last two stars hovering around the emperor's star also descended. Gimme braised pork. The ahog on the top of the young man's head was murmuring with drool dripping from its mouth. He kept rolling on the bed and biting one of the young man's arms. Why is this meat so old? Waiter, give me a new one. After murmuring, he flipped over again, and a star fell on his chest at this time. A star map stretched out from his chest, and the star. Right, Minister. There shouldn't be any problems with this deduction, right? The old man, who was already in his twilight years, sat on a stone platform covered in moss and murmured. From his face, the old man was like a candle in the wind, but his eyes were pitch black and bright. Swoosh! A beam of light pierced through the air. The old man, who had his back to the beam of light, smiled faintly and stretched out his palm. The Emperor's star has appeared, and the auxiliary stars have descended. I can't believe I'm the Emperor's star's auxiliary star. Wen Chu, the old man muttered in a hoarse voice, but his eyes were fixed on the somewhat dim star map in his hand. It seems that the end of my life is near. With a disappointed sigh, the old man pushed himself up from the stone platform. This was his favorite place, to be alone. In this space, this was the only place where he could see the lush greenery. Apart from here, when he raised his head, all he could see was a dense purple, demonic aura. Grandmaster Su. At that moment, a brawny man emanating demonic aura appeared in front of the old man. Get out! Bang! With the old man's explosive roar, the brawny man fell backward, only stopping when he retreated into the purple aura. This was his last patch of green land. He wouldn't allow any demons to taint it. The brawny man didn't dare say anything after taking the blow. He simply endured the pain in his chest and bowed. This subordinate knows his mistake. Please forgive me, Grandmaster. What is it? Asked the old man. The king has asked you to come to the altar. Tell him I understand. I'll be there in a moment. Yes. The brawny man clutched his chest and left. The old man glanced longingly at the moss on the ground, then wiped it away with a wave of his right hand. Enough. Just as he was about to leave, the North Star in the sky lit up with starlight once more. HM. The old man suddenly stopped. His fingers kept forming incantations, and his lips moved. How could this be two emperors? At the same time, Bayan, who hadn't received the Emperor's star's illumination, lost his temper. As far as the eye could see, the surrounding mountains were filled with traces of his anger. The Emperor's star. He'd waited 100,000 years, only to have it illuminate for someone else. He couldn't take this lying down. At that moment, the North Star shone brightly once more. Boom! Bayan's ruler aura erupted at the sight. Two emperors. It was actually two emperors and on the same day. And these two emperors were not him. Tianming, are you trying to anger me? The heavens are about to change. The patriarch of one of the ancient clans let out a long sigh. The Lord of Seven Stars had descended. The North Star had illuminated, and the auxiliary stars had descended. Everything that had happened in quick succession sent ripples through the upper three realms, which had been silent for far too long. The Emperor Star has illuminated, the auxiliary stars have descended, and the Lord of Seven Stars has descended. The world is about to fall into chaos. After a long while, the patriarch looked down at his juniors. Our clans can no longer stand on their own. Spread the word that it's time for us to come out. Find the one who illuminated the Emperor Star and the one who descended the auxiliary stars. Help them ascend to the throne. Yes. Wait a moment. If we find the one who illuminated the Emperor Star, we can take it too. Yes. His subordinates left the hall, and the old ancestor closed his eyes. Two emperors. Two emperors. At the same time, quite a few of the ancient clans of the three realms chose to come out. The heavens had chosen two emperors, so these clans couldn't stand on their own. They could only choose one master, or seize their fate. As for the one who illuminated the North Star, I knew it. I'm the one chosen by the heavens. Within a hall shrouded in immortal mist, a monk knelt before a statue of Buddha, his hands clutching Buddhist scriptures. His eyes shone with a fervent light. He clutched his kasaya so tightly that the veins on his arms bulged. The heavens haven't forsaken me. Only when the heart is free of distractions can one comprehend the true essence of Buddhism. An ethereal voice suddenly transmitted into the hall. The monk hurriedly prostrated himself on a prayer mat and cowed out. This disciple will remember. You are naturally intelligent and have excellent comprehension skills. If you properly comprehend the true essence of Buddhism, you will benefit greatly. This disciple understands. After a long while, the monk rose to his feet, a wicked smile flashing across his face. In the blink of an eye, it was replaced by a sinister light. He stared at the prayer mat beneath his knees. Chapter 827. Chapter 827. Zhuomo's transformation. The star chart spun, and the sky changed. Yi Zichen sat on the bed, a faint draconic aura swirling around his body. As he completed the final cycle, all of the draconic energy entered his body. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. When he opened his eyes, he could vaguely make out the star chart of the North Star. Half a month had passed. Ever since the Emperor's star lit up, Yi Zichen had clearly sensed his transformation. Everything in the world seemed extremely close to him. And when he breathed in and out, the spiritual energy that entered his body was extremely pure. This allowed his cultivation to advance by leaps and bounds. However, he was still being rejected by the upper three realms. He picked up his phone from beside his bed. As time passed, there wasn't much time left for everyone to prepare for the struggle for the three realms. He opened the reputation leaderboard of the three realms. Amitabha of the Western Pure Lands was still at the top, followed by Yi Zichen, the great sacred emperor equaling heavens, Fuxi, the North Star Emperor, and the others. Yi Zichen suddenly arched his brows. He hadn't noticed this before. The great sacred emperor equaling heavens was still on the leaderboard. Before the Jade Emperor ascended, he transferred 200,000 prestige points to Yi Zichen, but that wasn't all of it. Given what he had left, he should still be able to get a place on the leaderboard. However, there was no sign of the Jade Emperor at all. Clearly, as long as he ascended, his name wouldn't appear on the leaderboard. The great sacred emperor equaling heavens was still there. That meant he hadn't ascended yet. Isn't his strength on par with the Jade Emperor's? Why hasn't he ascended yet? The ley line has returned to the immortal region as well. What's going on with him? Yi Zichen frowned and closed the leaderboard, then glanced at the red packet server. There was a rare coldness. Most of the people in the group were heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, or some minor immortals. None of the big shots from before had appeared in the past few days. When he thought about the changes in the leaderboard, he guessed they were making their final preparations for the struggle for the three realms. Knock, knock, knock. Yi Zichen, Yi Zichen. Someone knocked on the door. Yi Zichen didn't even need to look to see who it was. He was able to tell just from the way she addressed him and her tone. It was the Medicine King, little Lori. Just a few days ago, Lori, who had transformed into her original form, had woken up. The first thing she did when she woke up was to ask for some jelly beans. Yi Zichen already felt guilty when he asked her to activate the ley line and harm her foundation. Without any hesitation, he immediately exchanged thousands of bottles of elixirs for her to consume. Among them, there were quite a few high-grade elixirs. Yi Zichen jumped off the bed and opened the door. When the sunlight shone into his room, what he saw was little Lioli's arms were full of elixirs, and her mouth was filled to the brim with elixirs. She kept stuffing elixirs into her mouth. Someone is looking for you outside. Her mouth was stuffed full of medicinal pills, so her words were also unclear. Someone is looking for you outside. Yi Zichen listened several times, but didn't understand what she was saying. Little Lioli helplessly stretched out her hand, indicating for him to wait a moment. Her small mouth continued to chew, and before long, she had swallowed all the pills in her mouth. I said someone is looking for you outside. What's wrong with your ears? I told you so many times, but you didn't hear me clearly. From her expression, Yi Zichen could tell that she was impatient. It was as if she was angry that Yi Zichen had acted like an idiot, preventing her from properly savoring the taste of her jelly beans. To tell the truth, after Yi Zichen's Emperor Star lit up, little Lioli was the only one who dared speak to him like that. Most people didn't dare look him in the eye, especially the imperial aura he emanated uncontrollably. It made them fear him even more. For example, even stubborn Big Brother Stone didn't dare pat him on the shoulder recently. And there was Su Lua. Yi Zichen had stayed with the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, but after a few days, Su Lua chased him out. On the surface, she said she couldn't be bothered to look at him. But Fatty Een secretly told him that he was the Emperor's Star, which would suppress Su Lua. How could someone as tyrannical as her endure that? He had no choice but to return to Maple City of the Immortal Region. Yi Zichen had gained a great deal after the Emperor's Star lit up. Little did he know, the way he saw it, he'd lost even more. He finally understood why ancient emperors were lonely. There was nothing he could do about it. All right, I was wrong, all right? Who's looking for me? Where is she? I'll go take a look. Although he was helpless, he was in a good mood. Mo of the Treasure Tower is in the main hall. I'll head over right away. Yi Zichen nodded and was about to leave when little Lioli tugged at his sleeve. HM? Yi Zichen turned around in confusion, only to see her blink. Give me some more jelly beans. The amount of pills little Lioli wanted had truly increased exponentially. Fortunately, Yi Zichen was well off. Otherwise, ordinary people really wouldn't be able to support this Medicine King. Yi Zichen exchanged a few thousand bottles of pills for her and placed them in her mustard seed pouch. Of course, she called it a sugar pouch, then rushed to the main hall. Mo sat in a chair in the main hall, dressed in luxurious robes. At some point, she'd cut her long, flowing hair short, but it didn't affect her beauty in the slightest. In fact, it made her seem even more capable. After inheriting the position of clan head, her aura had subtly changed. For example, right now, Mo, Yi Zichen greeted her with a smile. Yi Zichen smiled and walked over. When Mo saw him, her body trembled, but she pressed her lips into a smile, rose, and bowed. Emperor Yi, what are you doing? We're already so familiar with each other. Why are you still calling me Emperor Yi? Etiquette can't be ignored. If you keep acting like this, I'm going to get angry. Yi Zichen feigned anger. Mo hesitated for a moment, then said, Zichen. In truth, it wasn't hard to tell from her expression that she still had feelings for Yi Zichen. However, now that she'd inherited the position of clan head, her every word and action represented the treasure tower. She could no longer attribute her actions to a young girl's pursuit of love like before. She still adored him, but she couldn't act like before. Yi Zichen could tell, but he didn't point it out. The way he saw it, this was fine. He already had too many people by his side, and now he had Zuo. She loved him wholeheartedly, but he had to divide his attention between so many people. That wasn't fair. It was the hardest thing to accept a beauty's kindness. There was clearly no ending, so it was better to just let that feeling slowly fade away. Yi Zichen laughed and coughed, then gestured for Zuo to take a seat. You're so busy right now. You earn millions of Celeste every minute. You came to my place this time. It seems you didn't come without a reason, did you? Yes, nodded Zuo. Zuo nodded. At the same time, she placed something that looked like a letter on the table. Chapter 828. An invitation, what's this? Yi Zichen smiled and picked it up, then glanced at the cover. An invitation. Yi Zichen flipped through the invitation and glanced at it. A faint smile appeared on his face, then he put it back down. Something's been bothering me lately, so I actually forgot that Zhao Zizhao and City Lord Sie's wedding is in a few days. But I didn't receive an invitation. Did they just start sending it out? I received it a few days ago, but I was outside discussing business, so I ignored it. So Mo pressed down on the invitation, then said, Didn't you suspect that Zhao Zizhao and City Lord Lin had ulterior motives? Didn't you suspect that Zhao Zizhao and City Lord Lin had ulterior motives when they were drunk? I thought about it for a while in the clan, so I came to visit you first. Now it seems I made the right decision. Thank you. Yi Zichen nodded, then tapped the table with his fingers. The sound was very rhythmic. Before long, Yi Zichen began to hum. Anyone who lived in the modern realm could tell from his melody that he was humming a song that had once swept the world, the song of choice for plaza dancing, the most dazzling ethnic style. Zichen, Zuo looked at Yi Zichen, who was swaying his shoulders to the beat, in astonishment. Were we talking about Zhao Zizhao? Why was he humming? But why did it feel like the melody wasn't too bad? Sorry, I got distracted. Yi Zichen smiled apologetically. Zuo couldn't help but laugh. You can still get distracted at a time like this? It seems you've already made up your mind. Zhao Zizhao won't be able to do anything to you. Don't say that. No matter what, General Zhao is a hero of his generation. If he finds out, he'll lose so much face. Although that was what he said, Yi Zichen's tone was filled with incomparable confidence. The Emperor's star had lit up. His connection with heaven and earth had grown even closer. He didn't dare say much, but the entire immortal region was now within the range of his spiritual awareness. So long as Zhao Zizhao contacted the people behind him, he'd know immediately what they were doing. The only thing that troubled him was that during the struggle for the three realms, every realm's defenses would become weak. However, as long as he could find some time to discuss things with the North Pole Emperor, Fushi, and Xidagarba, there shouldn't be any problems. Zuo gazed silently at the confident smile on Yi Zichen's face. Back then, his confidence must have been deeply imprinted in her heart. Zuo let out a sigh of relief, then withdrew her gaze and said, Are you going or not? Of course we're going. Not only are we going there, we're going there right now. Yi Zichen smirked. Let's go in advance so we can figure out just what this general wants. Although I've already guessed a few things, it's better to be safe than sorry. All right, then I'll go back and arrange the gifts and attendance. I'll come back to find you later. Thank you. After sending Zuo off, Yi Zichen licked his lips and sneered as he returned to the courtyard. Ahog, boss. Swoosh. A cool breeze swept past. In front of Yi Zichen, a young man with a head full of ahog appeared. He held a chicken leg in his hand, his mouth glistening with oil. Your physique is really not bad. No matter how much you eat, you won't get fat. If you were in the modern realm, you'd be the envy of countless girls. Yi Zichen looked at the ahog and shook his head with a smile. You're probably sick of the food in our estate. This time, I'll take you to a place with a chef. How about it? Is there meat? That's all you've got. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. We're going to a wedding. The one hosting this wedding is a big shot. Do you think there'll be meat? A wedding, said the ahog, after a moment's thought. I'm not going. What? There's food there, but you don't go? That's not like you. Isn't it just a wedding? Boss, they don't even give me a salary. How am I supposed to go? Bang. Yi Zichen smacked him on the head. He couldn't help but roll his eyes. I'll take you there, and you'll even have to pay for it. Just open your stomach and let me eat. Bring that stick of yours too. Who knows, we might have to fight. If you can knock down one of them, I'll give you 100 Celeste. Really? Really? It's settled, boss. Just wait and see. Zwoemo was naturally swift and decisive. In less than 6 hours, several carriages stopped in front of Yi Zichen's manor. You're just going to take him? Zwoemo couldn't help but ask when she saw the Ahogue clutching a pig trotter. If your idea is correct, the situation might become more chaotic when the time comes. Your leisure house is a major power now. You should be able to find a dozen or so sky immortals, right? We're going to a wedding, not to cause trouble. Besides, do you really think I need to bring people with me? If we really fight, will I protect them, or will they protect me? Yi Zichen shrugged. I almost forgot. No one in the entire 3 realms can match your current strength. Mo nodded with a smile. Even so, you can't. Yi Zichen couldn't help but glance at the Ahogue. He could tell that she was worried about him. Yi Zichen smiled at the Ahogue, then arched his brows. Setting aside my status in the immortal region, I'm still the head of a major power. I have to bring a follower, right? What's more, this guy's a glutton, so I might as well eat all the money he gave me. I don't like losing out. With that, Yi Zichen patted the Ahogue on the head. Don't just think about eating. Let me introduce you. This is, I know, the head of the treasure tower and the head of the Zwa family, said the Ahogue without even looking up. Family head Zwa. My name is Go Yujan. If you can't remember my name, just call me Ahogue. I'm Boss's. Boss, what am I to you again? Bodyguard. That's right, I'm Boss's bodyguard. My hands are covered in oil, so I won't shake your hand. Hello. Zwoemo could tell something was off from his words, but she didn't dwell on it. Instead, she shrugged. So you're going to eat all the money back? You got to hand it to me. Yi Zichen chuckled, then shrugged. I can't help it. My family is poor, so even a single Celeste has to be cherished. But you, don't tell me your carriages are all filled with wedding gifts. So, Mo, even if the treasure tower is rich, you can't be so wasteful. If you really have too much money to spend, why don't you invest in the leisure house? I haven't even given them their salaries in a while. Don't mess around. The leisure house's faction was growing stronger and stronger. It was already on the verge of becoming the #1 faction. Only an idiot would believe that they lacked money. Lin Shiha and I are actually close friends, so I naturally can't be too stingy with her wedding. But Zichen, I have a favor to ask of you. What is it? Said Yi Zichen. Chapter 829. Uninvited Guests 100 Flower City. The entire city was celebrating the city lord's wedding. Every resident's house was plastered with the character Happy, and large red lanterns hung in front of their doors. It was obvious that Lin Shiha's governance had won the hearts of the people. Everyone in the city was excited about her wedding. Over the past few days, guests who'd received invitations started arriving one after another. There were limited guest rooms in the city lord's manor, so some guests could only stay in the city's taverns and inns. Stop! The guards at the city gates stopped Zwoemo's carriage. Due to Lin Shiha's wedding, the number of people in the city had skyrocketed. Under these circumstances, the guards had to be even more careful. Thud, thud, thud. A group of guards strode over. Please present your identification. Hello, I am Zwoemo, the head of the Zwo family. I've been invited to attend City Lord Lin and General Zhao's wedding. So Zwoemo lifted the curtains and handed them an invitation. This is my invitation. The guards carefully checked the invitation several times. Family head Zwa, sorry for the offense just now. City Lord Lin has ordered us to take you directly to the City Lord's manor when you arrive. Please follow behind us, otherwise there will be several checkpoints behind us. It'll be very troublesome. Thank you. Zwoemo nodded, then returned to the carriage. Yi Zichen glanced outside. This is my first time in 100 Flower City. I really couldn't tell that Lin Shiha was such a successful city lord. Look at how festive the decorations are. Don't change the subject, said Zwoemo with a frown. You still haven't answered what I said earlier. What did I say? You're playing dumb? You mean what you said earlier? That I should let Zhao Zizhao off the hook? Yi Zichen shook his head and laughed. He's not guilty at all. Why would I let him off the hook? If he really did bring disaster to the three realms, even if I didn't punish him, someone else would. In truth, we both know that. Why do you have to act like this? So Mo frowned, then let out a long sigh. If my guess is correct, he'll contact the demons during the wedding. Back when the demons instigated the immortal region, he was probably their last pawn. Even if you don't say anything, I know that's definitely the case. So Mo sounded indescribably certain. It's not good for a woman to be too smart. Yizichin shrugged helplessly. Since you already know, why are you still asking me to spare him? Colluding with the demon realm is a great crime. His actions will bring disaster to the entire three realms. You wanted to let him go, but will the world let him go? Sister Lin really loves him. I don't dare to imagine what would happen to Sister Lin. Zichin, you are the immortal region's yellow emperor. Your words carry a lot of weight in the other two realms. If you tell them to let him go, they won't bother him anymore. Can't you tell the difference between personal feelings and righteousness? I'm begging you. You can't understand what it's like for a woman to love a man wholeheartedly. You're definitely thinking of killing him, right? But have you thought about what Big Sister Lin would do? Your relationship with Sia should be very good as well. Have you thought about what would happen to her? Zichin, Mo, I've never begged you before. This time, I'm begging you. Let him go for my sake. Yizichin huffed and puffed. So Mo had already said this much, but he couldn't bring himself to continue speaking righteously about the three realms' grand Tao. After a long while, he let out a sigh. If his actions aren't too bad, then I'll let him go. Thank you. Mo repeatedly thanked him, but the atmosphere in the carriage changed slightly. Yizichin did not say a single word along the way. He merely looked out the window at the brightly lit residences with a solemn expression. Family Hedzwa, we're here, said one of the guards in front of them. So Mo took out a bag of money and placed it in their hands, then told them to go and have some tea. The guards refused at first, but when Mo mentioned that they would take it as a gift, they finally accepted. Family Hedzwa. An old woman had been waiting at the entrance to the city Lord's Manor for a long time. Yizichin nodded at her and smiled. The group entered the manor. However, before they'd taken more than a few steps, Lin Shiha approached them. Lilimo, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for so long. I've always reserved the largest room for you. Quite a few sect heads have come, but I've never given up my room. What do you think? I treat you well, don't I? As the day of her wedding approached, Lin Shia's expression was both joyful and flirtatious. After all, a woman about to get married was blessed from head to toe. Thank you, big sister. I'm here to be a bridesmaid. Of course you're here. Don't even think about it, said Lin Shiha with a smile. Lin Shiha smiled. Then her gaze landed on Yizichin. Emperor Yi, you're here too? And with Lilimo? I've long since heard about you two. When will I be able to attend your wedding? Big sister Lin, don't mess around, said Mo, blushing. Don't mess around? You're already embarrassed, teased Lin Shiha. Then she turned to Yizichin and smiled. Emperor Yi, why aren't you saying anything? You two sisters are in the middle of a lively conversation. If I butt in, wouldn't that be inappropriate? Yizichin smiled calmly, then spoke. How come I don't see Sia or our groom, General Zhao? Sia went out to prepare for the wedding. She's even more concerned about my wedding than I am, said Lin Shiha. Lin Shiha said, Zi Zhao should be teaching his little brother martial arts. He should be here soon. What a pity. I'm here now, aren't I? At that moment, the side door to the city lord's manor opened. Zhao Zizhao walked out, dressed in plain clothes and holding a long spear. His body was drenched in sweat. It was obvious he'd just returned from training. Look at you. You don't even know how to wipe your sweat? When she saw his appearance, Lin Shiha walked up to him and carefully wiped the sweat off his face with a handkerchief. I can't possibly have my wife's son greet me alone, said Zhao Zizhao warmly. Then he took Lin Shia's hand and looked at her. Family Hedzwa, I didn't know you were here. I was busy teaching my good-for-nothing little brother, so I didn't come out to greet you. My apologies. Given my relationship with Big Sister Lin, there's no need for such formalities, said Mo with a smile. Zhao Zizhao nodded at her, then turned to face Yizichin. He froze. His actions were obviously startled, but he quickly sorted out his emotions and walked over with a smile. Emperor Yi, you're here. Chapter 830. A battle of words within the longevity courtyard. Several hours after Yi Zichen left, Xiao Yumei and Lil Tian appeared in his courtyard. Lori, is Yi Zichen here? Little Lori was the only one in the courtyard, happily eating pills. When she heard someone ask about Yi Zichen, she didn't even look up as she replied, I'm fine. No. Do you know what he's doing? He went with Zwa Mo to attend City Lord Lin's wedding. Lil Tian continued to stuff pills into her mouth. Little Lori was still stuffing pills into her mouth. He told me to stay and protect you too. Don't go out for the next few days. If you're going out, tell me in advance. All right. After hearing Yi Zichen's situation, Xiao Yumei nodded, then led Tian out of the courtyard. He's only been home for a few days. After coming out, Xiao Yumei helplessly sighed. At this moment, Xiao Tian stopped and blinked her eyes as she spoke. Daddy isn't here, so let's go play with Annie Chong, okay? Go play with her. Xiao Yumei frowned. When they'd returned to Maple City, he had stayed in the longevity courtyard for a few days. She didn't know why, but Tian, who didn't like talking to others, was so affectionate with her. It was just like how she treated Zichen and herself. Xiao Yumei was rather surprised. She was happy to see Tian so lively, but whenever she saw Chong-yi, she found it strange. Lori just said that Daddy left her to protect us. It might be dangerous, so we shouldn't go out. It's fine. Auntie Chong-yi is in the heavenly court. There's nowhere safer than there. We won't be gone for long. We're just going to play, okay? Okay. Tian tugged on Xiao Yumei's hand coquettishly. Xiao Yumei, who doted on Tian to begin with, instantly couldn't resist. She pursed her lips helplessly and rubbed Tian's head. Fine. Then let's go play with your Auntie Chong-yi. But how are we supposed to go? Mommy isn't as familiar with the heavenly court as your daddy is. I have an idea. Then Mom will go tell Luli. Before she could finish her sentence, Xiao Tian interrupted her and said, There's no need to say anything. Auntie Luli is eating happily, so why should we disturb her? Let's go. In the city lord's mansion, everyone landed in the middle of the courtyard. As soon as Yi Zichen finished speaking, Zwa Mo couldn't help but frown. Zhao Zijiao's expression froze slightly as well, but he quickly composed himself and smiled calmly. Emperor Yi, what are you saying? Isn't it? On the way here, I saw that the guests had already arrived, but my leisure house did not receive any invitations from General Zhao and City Lord Lin. However, I like to join in on the fun, so I came uninvited. I hope General Zhao won't blame me. There was a hint of provocation in Yi Zichen's tone, and his undisguised playful gaze caught everyone's attention. Zhao Zijiao's expression did not change as he continued to smile. How could I blame you? I couldn't have asked for anything more than for you to attend my wedding with Shiha. In truth, we're still sending people to deliver the invitations. As you can see, although quite a few people have come to 100 Flower City in the past few days, the truly important figures haven't arrived yet. I'm only doing this out of consideration for how busy you are, and I don't want to waste your time. To tell the truth, in a few days, I was planning to personally invite you, but I didn't expect you to come with his family head. Then can I take it that General Zhao means to say that the people you've invited in advance aren't of particularly high status in your eyes? Yi Zichen deliberately found fault with him. You jest, said Zhao Zijiao. In response, Zhao Zijiao merely smiled calmly. There was no hint of hesitation in his eyes. Even if his family had invited us in advance, who dares say his status isn't high? It's not that the people we invite in advance aren't of high status. It's just that the people we invite are divided into factions. For example, Jianghu factions or sects like yours. We invite them last. That's strange. Yi Zichen's eyes flashed playfully. Then he snorted. The sect master of a sect spends most of his time in seclusion. You should have sent your invitations in advance. But you sent them last. Could it be that you didn't want us to come? Enough. At that moment, Zwa Mo suddenly interrupted him. She reached out and tugged on his arm, then smiled at Lin Shiha. Big Sister Lin, we're tired from the long journey. Why don't you arrange a place for us to rest? To tell the truth, Lin Shiha felt extremely awkward just now. On one side was her future husband, and on the other was the Yellow Emperor of the Immortal Region's sacred land. Although both of them were smiling as they spoke, no matter how you looked at it, it was clear they were at loggerheads. The thick smell of gunpowder made her feel extremely uncomfortable, but she had no idea how to interrupt them. Fortunately, Zuemo had spoken up. Lin Shiha hurriedly seized the opportunity to extinguish the flames of war. That's true. Maple City isn't that close to Hunterflower City. I imagine you're exhausted from the journey. I've already prepared a guest room for you. How about we head over now? Lin Shiha asked tentatively, but her gaze fell on Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen glanced at Zuemo. When he saw her solemn expression, all he could do was smile helplessly, then stretch lazily. It would have been better if you hadn't mentioned it. Now that you mention it, I really am a bit tired. Then I'll take you to the guest room, said Lin Shiha directly. Thank you. Yi Zichen cupped his hands towards City Lord Lin, then turned to Zhao Zizhao. General Zhao, let's chat some other time. Take care, Emperor. As he watched Yi Zichen and the others leave, Zhao Zizhao, who was dressed in martial attire, frowned sinisterly. Before long, the courtyard side door opened. Big brother, that brat Yi Zichen suddenly showed up. It's not a bad thing, is it? A youth who looked 70% like Zhao Zizhao walked out. This was his younger brother, Zhao Ziming. The two of them were truly worthy of being brothers. Even the gloominess on their faces was the same. No, said Zhao Zizhao, even if I didn't invite him, so long as I delivered the invitation to Zuemo, Yi Zichen would definitely come. I've known this for a long time. From his tone, it seems he's noticed something. Then, don't worry. Even if he comes, it won't affect the overall situation. With that, Zhao Zizhao narrowed his eyes and glared ahead like a viper. A sinister smile tugged at the corners of his lips. Hunterflower City is already mine. So long as I spread the word, I'll be able to capture all the clan heads and sect leaders of the Immortal Region in one fell swoop. When that happens, the world will be mine. The Immortal Region has always been under the jurisdiction of the Holy Land. It's never produced an emperor, so I'll be its first. But big brother, you have to be careful. Working with those demons is no different from working with a tiger. Chapter 831. She has a brilliant plan. This guest room is available. It's large enough. It should be just right for the two of you, said Lin Shiha, her gaze dubiously. She and Zuemo were close friends, so it was only natural that she knew some of the inside story. There were quite a few empty rooms in the City Lord's manor, but she said this was the only one available. She was deliberately creating an opportunity for the two of them. That's not a problem, is it? When he saw her smile, Yi Zichen knew she was doing this on purpose. However, he didn't point it out. The courtyard was indeed large enough for the two of them to live in. Besides, deliberately avoiding arousing suspicion would only make it easier for others to overthink things. Since this is the only room available, we'll have no choice but to spend the night here. As long as you don't mind, that's good. I won't disturb you any longer. With that, Lin Shiha turned and left. As she left, she glanced surreptitiously at Zuemo. However, Yi Zichen saw all of this, but he pretended not to notice. From start to finish, Zuemo said nothing. Even when Lin Shiha winked at her, she didn't respond. After a while, she furrowed her brows in annoyance. Why did you say that just now? There was so much gunpowder in the air. If I hadn't stopped you, I was afraid you'd start fighting. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't bicker with him? Hey, don't tamper with what I said. Back in the carriage, we agreed that if his behavior wasn't particularly vile, I'd let him go. Yi Zichen arched his brows, cocked his head, and laughed. It's just that whenever I saw him, I felt annoyed. I couldn't help but provoke him. However, I only ridiculed him with my words. You don't have to take it to heart. Aren't you afraid of alerting him? Said Zuemo helplessly. Just now you were so aggressive. If you bicker with him, he'll definitely glean some inside information from your words. If he really guessed something, what if he gave up on the plan? Alerting him? I already alarmed him the moment I set foot in the City Lord's manor. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth in disdain, then sat down on a stone chair in the courtyard. However, If he's afraid of me and cancels the plan, wouldn't that be a good thing for you, me, and the three realms? You're wrong to think like that. As long as he's from the demon realm, then even if he doesn't want to, the demon realm will force him to do something. If he canceled it now, the plan would be delayed. When the time comes, we won't know anything. Won't we be even more unprepared? Originally, the enemy was in the light while I was in the dark, but you forcefully turned the situation into one where the enemy is in the light while I am in the dark. I really don't understand what you're thinking. Although Zhuo Mo had begged Yi Zichen to let Zhao Zijiao go just this once, it was clear from her words and her urgent expression that she was doing this for Yi Zichen's sake. Yi Zichen's heart warmed. Then he pursed his lips and smiled. No, everything about him is under my control. What I did just now was to make him suspect that I knew everything. That way he might panic, even if he's in a good state of mind and doesn't panic, but whoosh. Yi Zichen waved his right hand, and ripples appeared in the air in front of them. This is what Mo stared blankly at the ripples in front of her. To her astonishment, Zhao Zijiao and Zhao Ziming were standing above them. The great Tao of Heaven's birth. It was a spiritual technique Yi Zichen had acquired at the very beginning, but he hadn't used it much since arriving in the three realms. This sort of cheat-like spiritual technique would destroy the game's balance if he used it all the time. However, using it when it mattered wasn't bad either. How can you see the two of them? Isn't it? With your strength, have you already reached this level? Despite her shock, she came to a sudden realization. No wonder he'd been so fearless from start to finish. She'd even questioned him so urgently. Now it seemed that she'd been worrying for nothing. She rolled her eyes at him, but she didn't know why. But in her heart, she was delighted. He was strong. She was so happy. Don't talk. If you miss a few important details, you're done for. Yi Zichen smiled relaxedly. Zhuo Mo nodded, knowing full well that he was right. She held her breath and focused on the ripples. Big brother, you have to be careful too. Working with those demons is no different from working with a tiger. Don't worry, I have a plan to deal with them. Whoosh! The ripples dispersed. Hey, this is a critical moment. Why did it suddenly stop? Zhuo Mo stared intently at the scene, her mind constantly calculating and analyzing the situation. However, just as they were about to reach a critical moment, the scene stopped. She hurriedly asked Yi Zichen what happened. I was the one who made it disperse, said Yi Zichen indifferently. Why did you do that? Just keep watching. What's there to see? Yi Zichen pursed his lips in exasperation. Even if we keep watching, all we'll see is those two brothers walking away with their arms around each other's shoulders and spouting obscenities. Do you want to see? Then I'll let you see. What? We already talked about secrets, said Zhuo Mo in confusion. My dear family head Zhuo, even you think it's a secret. Do you really think he'll tell us? Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Zhao Zijiao is extremely shrewd. He's absolutely capable of keeping secrets. When he told Zhao Ziming he had a plan, he was just giving him a hint. But there's no way he's going to tell you exactly what it is. Put yourself in his shoes and think about it. If it were you, would you tell him? After a moment's hesitation, so Mo shook her head. That's it, said Yi Zichen with a smile. But what we've seen is already advantageous to us. I never would have guessed Zhao Zijiao's ambitions were so great. He wants to declare himself an emperor outside the immortal region. And that Zhao Ziming, he's not bad. He's improved a bit since arriving in the immortal region. He even knows how to analyze the situation. Hey, can you not always have such a playful attitude? Zhao Zijiao wants to use this wedding to control everyone in the immortal region. Shouldn't we prepare in advance, in case? In case what? Just let him play. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth indifferently. It's better to be safe than sorry. Can you not always be so fearless? Chapter 832. A living sacrifice since the demons themselves emitted nether demonic energy. Even though Gu Li had taken over their territory and forced them to live in the subdimension he'd created, as time passed, they'd transformed this place into a second demon realm. An altar stood in the center of the subdimension. It had been sculpted by a demon ancestor. A demon wielded a mace, two sharp fangs protruded from its mouth, and a pair of bat-like wings sprouted from its back. In front of the altar was a huge, fiery crater. Demonic energy continuously emanated from the crater, making the demonic energy even denser here than elsewhere. Bang! Bang! One demon after another leapt into the crater in front of the altar. Every time one of them jumped in, the altar grew even darker and darker. A sacrifice. He was using living demons as a sacrifice. A sea of demons waited in front of the altar, waiting to be sacrificed. No one knew just how many demons he'd sacrificed. Are you still offering sacrifices? At that moment, a black-robed old man appeared in front of the altar. He covered his mouth and nose and furrowed his brows. Clearly, he loathed the dense demonic energy. When he appeared, Black Dragon, who'd been supervising the work on the altar, rose to greet him. "Brother Sue, why are you here?" "I was a bit worried, so I came to take a look," said the old man coolly. Black Dragon hurriedly turned to the demon behind him and said, "Take a seat." Bang! The demon instantly knelt to the ground, then propped his hands against the ground. A human seat. The old man didn't seem to mind at all. He sat on the demon's back, then turned to Black Dragon and frowned. "Half a month ago, you told me the altar was ready. Half a month later, we've already offered sacrifices to many demons. 300,000. Black Dragon's eyes flashed fiercely. "We've already offered sacrifices to a total of 300,000 people. Thanks to Brother Sue's clever words, my strength has undergone a qualitative transformation. Now, even if a god stood before me, I'd still be able to put up a fight." In truth, the altar's purpose was to devour demon blood essence, convert it into spiritual power, and send it into Black Dragon's body. The one who had made this suggestion was the old man in front of him. In the beginning, Black Dragon had been somewhat hesitant, but after a few taunts and enticement from the old man, he had gritted his teeth and agreed. Even if he agreed, he would still bear a grudge. The demons were all his people. He used his own people to offer sacrifices. This was an act of forsaking righteousness, an act of betrayal. It was only when he truly felt his strength increase that he recalled what the old man had said to him, that he gave up on everything else and increased the intensity of the sacrifice. The clansmen were filled with complaints. Suppress. The clansmen raised their poles and revolted. Kill. Now, in the eyes of outsiders, he was already crazy, but under the temptation of power, he was willing to continue like this. Only 300,000. However, the old man shook his head in disdain. Clearly, he was very dissatisfied with this number. "Black Dragon, in order to help you turn the tables, I searched the mountains for this secret art. You might even suffer the wrath of the heavens to set up this altar for you, but you are so indecisive." "Brother Sue, please calm down." Black Dragon sneered. "No matter what, they're my clansmen. I really can't bear to have them offer sacrifices to me. I admit that I was a bit indecisive in the beginning, but I've been making up for it in recent days. In just 2 short years, I've already sacrificed 200,000 clansmen. As long as I have enough time." "I'll give you enough time," the old man snorted disdainfully. "Don't you know how much time you have left?" Even though the Black Dragon was the king of the demon race, the old man continued to ridicule him with words. "Black Dragon, there's only 3 days left. You still have 3 days. You're only a half-step Earth Supreme right now. If you'd done as I said from the beginning, you'd already be an Earth Supreme. Do you understand?" I know. I told you back then that we don't have an advantage in numbers if we want to occupy the 3 realms. In terms of numbers, they have more than us. We need to forge a route for our elite troops. That way, we can attack and defend at will. Leaving our clansmen below, the human immortal level alive, is a waste of resources. Even if we send them to the battlefield, they'll just be throwing their lives away. I understand. If you want to accomplish great things, you need to have a twisted mentality. As the saying goes, the merciful cannot command an army. If you're so soft-hearted, how can you talk about accomplishing great things? I've supported you wholeheartedly, but in the end, are you going to send me to defeat again? The old man berated Black Dragon fiercely. Reprimanding him in front of so many clansmen left no face for Black Dragon. However, The black dragon only smiled and said apologetically, "Brother Su's words make sense. I was wrong. Finish off these ants as soon as possible. Use their essence blood to nourish your strength. Consider it their contribution to the demons. Go die." At that moment, the demonic general who'd been serving as the old man's chair suddenly erupted. His hands transformed into sharp claws, and he swiped at the old man's chest. Impudent. At the same time, Black Dragon kicked the demonic being away. 10 demonic beings appeared around him and captured him. "Baal, are you trying to rebel?" This demonic general was no ordinary person. He was Baal, one of the 12 demon clans. "Boss, don't be bewitched by him," Baal shouted bitterly. "These are all our clansmen. How can you use them as sacrifices? Ever since this guy came to the demon realm, I've sensed that he harbors ill intentions. He wants us to go extinct. Boss, I beg you, wake up. Don't let this go on. Impudent. Brother Su and I are like brothers. How can you harm me?" "Boss, shut up." Black Dragon stared darkly at Baal. "I think you've been bewitched. I've long known that you have a rebellious bone in your head. You're not loyal at all. Now that you want to rebel against me, fine. I'll grant you death." Hei Long raised his hand without the slightest hesitation. However, the old man stopped him. Killing him would be too much of a waste. Use him as a living sacrifice. No matter what, he's one of the 12 demon sovereigns. He'll be much more effective than those ants. Brother Su's words make sense. Men, there's no need. Baal struggled to his feet and shooed the surrounding demons away. "I'll jump myself. And boss, I've followed you for 100,000 years, but you're going to trust a bystander. We'll find out in the future who's harboring evil intentions." Soon after, his gaze fell onto the old man, and his eyes were filled with rage. Chapter 833. Incitement. Push him down. Black Dragon frowned, then pointed at the laughing demons behind Baal. Black Dragon furrowed his brows, then pointed at the laughing demon behind Baal in front of the altar and bellowed, "Baal, you're the demon king." The demons were loyal to Black Dragon, but they knew full well of Baal's illustrious military exploits. They were loyal to Black Dragon, but they knew full well of Baal's illustrious military exploits. Whoosh! A blazing flame burst out from the altar, and the scorching heat swept past Baal as if it was about to swallow him whole and melt him. The rubble beneath Baal's feet fell to the ground in a puff of white smoke. Baal stared fixedly at the nearby elder. Then he laughed, a heart-wrenching laugh. "Su-Yun, don't think that no one knows about your tricks. His Majesty may be bewitched by you now, but one day he'll definitely come to his senses. I'll say it again, I'll wait for you on the road to the Yellow Springs." Baal closed his eyes and stretched out one of his legs. His tone instantly became low and deep. "Wait." A commotion broke out in the crowd of demons below the altar. Not long after, the figure of a woman appeared in the crowd. When he saw her, Su-Yun furrowed his brows, then lowered his head, maintaining his cool demeanor. "Min-Yi," said Black Dragon. "Your Majesty." Li Min-Yi knelt on one knee before Black Dragon, then frowned. "I've come to plead on Baal's behalf." Right now, the Black Dragon was bent on executing Baal. The temptation of absolute power had already twisted his heart a little. In truth, the ones he wanted to sacrifice the most were the 12 demon sovereigns. They were the demons' most elite fighting force. If he sacrificed them, the effects would be far better than if he sacrificed them to the body refiners and spiritual bodies. Perhaps if he sacrificed them, he would be able to directly step into the Supreme Being stage. If it were any other demon sovereign, he might have just thrown them into Baal's group and sacrificed them as well. But Li Min-Yi was different. She was Su-Yun's rightful wife. "Brother Su, what are you?" Unable to make up his mind, Black Dragon shifted his gaze to Su-Yun and asked in a probing manner, "Min-Yi, why are you here?" Only then did Su-Yun speak. His voice was weak and feeble. It was obvious he was already at the end of his rope. "Can I not come?" Li Min-Yi bit her lips. "Yun, do you know that your current actions will incur the wrath of the heavens? Do you know what you are doing?" Hundreds of thousands of devil race people are going to jump into the fire sacrifice just because of your words? Now that you want the 12 demon sovereigns to perform the fire sacrifice, does that mean that I will also have to perform the fire sacrifice in a few days? Don't be unreasonable. Hurry up and go back, berated Suyun. I'm being unreasonable? Which one of us is the unreasonable one? Iyun, do you know why I fell in love with you back in a modern realm? It's because I love you for your loyalty and righteousness. But look at you now. Li Min, he looked ahead with a pained expression. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Cold-blooded, heartless. You've even started using living people as sacrifices. Iyun, let's stop. It's not too late to stop now. In fact, I blame myself. I was the one who implanted the memories of the Array Grandmaster into your sea of consciousness. In order to study spirit arrays, you overdraft too much of your life force. Now that you're like a candle in the wind, can't you just live in peace for a few years? Say no more. Didn't you come here to get bail? All right, for your sake, I'll spare him. With that, Su-Yun turned to Baal, who stood at the entrance of the fire sacrifice. I'm not guilty of betraying you. Leave. Then, he spoke to the demon clan members who were waiting for the sacrificial ceremony like livestock. Continue the fire sacrifice. Iyun, Li Min furrowed her brows. Su-Yun ignored her. Instead, he turned to the executioners who'd brought the demons over for the fire sacrifice. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Continue the fire sacrifice. Pa, Su-Yun, who do you think you are? Why do you have to speak so arrogantly? Don't forget, the Demon King is King Black Dragon. King Black Dragon hasn't said anything yet. What the hell are you talking about? Baal spat on the ground as he left the altar. He looked at Su-Yun with disdain and cursed. You're the one who did this to me. That's right. Lord Baal is right. Why do we have to become the sacrificial pawns? We want to live too. We don't want to be sacrificed. Baal's words caused the demons beneath the fire sacrifice to riot. The surrounding demon guards did their best to suppress them, but there were simply too many people being sacrificed. It seemed they couldn't hold back much longer. Baal. Black Dragon's face was ashen. His entire face was filled with uncontrollable rage. Su-Yun smiled calmly. He gently patted Black Dragon on the shoulder, indicating for him to calm down. Then he smiled at Baal, stirring up their emotions. I have to say, you're quite successful. It wasn't me who stirred them up. That's what they were thinking, snorted Baal. You're still the one who stirred them up. Su-Yun pursed his lips and smiled calmly. No matter where they are, the common people are weak and ignorant. Before anyone says anything, all they can do is endure and accept. If you hadn't said what you just said, the sacrificial rites might still be proceeding in an orderly fashion. I don't want them to continue. They're weakening the demon race's combat strength. You're harboring evil intentions. Is that so? Su-Yun didn't refute him. Instead, he looked down at the rioting demons. Everyone, please listen to me for a moment. As he shouted, Su-Yun intentionally used the spirit concentration art. Instantly, the crowd below stopped what they were doing. As you all know, the demon race's former territory has been taken over by those with wild ambitions. Left with no choice, we can only live in this subdimension I created. However, perhaps you don't know this, but this isn't a place we can live in for long. It's stable because its creator is still alive. However, what I want to say is that my time is almost up. I'll die soon. When Li Min heard this, she almost burst into tears. She'd loved him from start to finish, even though she knew deep down that she'd never been his heart. The crowd fell silent. After a long while, someone shouted, if you're going to die, then die. If you want to die, just die. Why do you want us to die with you? Chapter 834. Begin your performance, Su. Iyun stood atop the altar. His body was like a candle in the wind, but now he had to face the tens of thousands of sacrificial fire priests. He seemed exceptionally depressed. He didn't shout himself hoarse to gain their approval. Perhaps it was more accurate to say that he didn't have any more energy left to shout. He said it indifferently, but his indifferent words reached everyone's ears. Who do you think you are? Do you think we can't live without you? It's just a spatial collapse. We can just find another space, shouted the crowd. Do you see? This is the ignorance of the people. This is the ignorance of the people. As he spoke, Sui Yun's gaze fell on Bale. He smiled calmly, then turned his head to look at the foolish commoners below. There's no need for me to be modest. Aside from me, there's probably no one else in the demon race who can create another space. As soon as he finished speaking, he stopped interacting with the ignorant commoners below him and smiled. After I die, this space will collapse. You'll be completely exposed to the eyes of the three realms. When that happens, how will you live? Could it be that you think that the people of the three realms will be merciful to you and leave you a desolate land for you to live in? Or do you think Ghoulie will return the space you once lived in? Wake up. None of them will. In that case, there's only one possible outcome for you. Death. We can definitely attack the three realms again. Also, don't try to scare us with death. We demon warriors aren't afraid of death. Sukian had long since noticed that these people were there on purpose. He glanced at Bale discreetly. These little tricks weren't bad at all. But to someone like him, who'd participated in countless debates at university, this was basically free points. Su Yun cleared his throat, then straightened his clothes. Let the show begin. Very good. It's good to be hot-blooded. Now, let me ask you this. Do you understand the current three realms? Back then, we demons retreated. Clearly, we were defeated, not retreated. After that, the dragon vein of the demon race appeared, and their overall strength took a qualitative leap. And what are you doing? Living a befuddled life, muddling along, dragging out an ignoble existence, right? The enemy's strength is increasing exponentially, while our side is stagnating. So, let me ask you, if you rely on your current strength to attack, what are your chances of victory? Or rather, can the 10 of you exchange for one person from the three realms? 10 for 1, you might not even be able to do it. Moreover, our devil race does not have the advantage in numbers, so your sacrifice is meaningless. Everyone fell silent. You all know that numbers have no advantage in the face of absolute power. It was just like when a heaven immortal was facing hundreds of thousands of body refiners. He could annihilate them with a wave of his hand. But now, if our demon race wants to win, we need someone with absolute strength. And the person I've decided on is the current leader of the demon race, Black Dragon. With that, Sui Yun shot Black Dragon a meaningful glance. Understanding Zhang Xian's intentions, Zhang Xian unleashed the full might of a half-Izuan. Bang! Those who were closer, including Bale and Li Min Yi, couldn't help but fall to their knees, looks of pain on their faces. They were the demon's most elite fighting force, and their strength was on par with the three realms' peak experts. Thus, they were now in the most direct state the three realms' peak experts would face when facing Black Dragon. All right, Black Dragon, stop. Sukyun calmly waved his hand at Black Dragon, then looked at Bale and the fools below. Do you feel it? This is absolute power. With that, Sukyun turned to the crowd of ignorant commoners. You keep saying that demon warriors don't fear death, so why can't we die meaningfully? It's just as you said, you charge forward like a suicide squad, but in the end, you're just delivering your lives to the enemy. So what meaning does your death have to the demons? No, your deaths are meaningless. Since that's the case, why don't you die meaningfully? How can we die meaningfully? One of the fools couldn't help but ask. Sacrifice. Sukian pointed at the altar behind him. I came across this altar by chance. It's one of the demon race's secret manuals. Its effect is that after the sacrifice, the refined essence blood will be converted into spiritual energy, which will be infused into the bodies of those who benefit from it. Your sacrifice will increase Black Dragon's strength. As long as he's strong enough, when we attack the three realms, we'll have a much better chance of victory. You say I'm vicious and merciless, but have you ever seen me sacrifice children? You say I have a heart of stone, but aren't I thinking about the future of the demon race? Please think about it. Do you want your children to live in peace, or do you want them to become prisoners of the three realms and live a life without a future? Some of you are already in your twilight years. You want to enjoy your twilight years in peace, but you can no longer do so. Why don't you sacrifice your bodies for the sake of the demon race's future? Some of you are in the prime of your life with average talents. You want to accompany your children as they grow up, but you are no longer strong enough to protect your children. Why don't you sacrifice yourselves to give your children more hope in the future? You're not abandoned by the demon race. On the contrary, you're the demon race's heroes. For the sake of the demon race, for the sake of the demon race's future, you're willing to sacrifice yourselves. Su Iyun practically shouted his last sentence. The crowd below the altar began to stir. To tell the truth, their blood had been ignited. It wasn't just them. Even Baal, who'd always disliked Su Iyun, had changed his opinion of him. We're willing to be sacrificed. Yes, we're willing. The crowd shouted one after another. Their blood had been set aflame, and they no longer feared anything. I thank you all for your sacrifice. You've given us the demon race's future. The demon race's glory will live on forever with you. Under the influence of extreme emotions, the atmosphere of the crowd below was stirred to the peak. They didn't even need the guards to suppress them. One by one, they leapt off the altar, unafraid of death. Seeing this, Su Iyun let out a long sigh of relief. Grandmaster Su, I, Baal, wronged you. Su Iyun's words had moved him so much that he'd immediately apologized. Chapter 835. The bright moon lanterns and streamers decorated the city, and gongs and drums beat in unison. So long as you were in Hundred Flowers City, you could sense the city brimming with a joyous atmosphere. Only the wedding of the city lord, Lin Shiha, could cause such a commotion in the entire city. As the sky turned white, the sound of firecrackers could be heard everywhere in the city. Normally, a wedding would be held at noon, but Lin Shiha's wedding was being held at night. The sound of firecrackers exploding in the city lasted from dawn to dusk before it finally stopped. When the night fell, from the gate of Hundred Flowers City to the shops on both sides of the street, there were festive red lanterns. The only way to the city lord's mansion was covered with red rose petals. The citizens of Hundred Flowers City had scattered the flowers. They sincerely wished the city lord, who'd worked so hard for them, well, she'd finally found her lifelong home. A group of people stood about 5 kilometers away from Hundred Flowers City. Based on their equipment, they seemed to be a band of musicians. In front of him, there were 3 people riding tall horses. These 3 horses all had red flowers tied to their necks. Among them, the white horse stood in the center, which was also the furthest in front. Slightly behind him were 2 pure black horses on either side. Emperor Yi, I can't believe you said you'd be my groomsman. I'm truly flattered. At this moment, the man in red clothes and a crown on a white horse turned around and spoke to the person on his left. This was the wedding's bridegroom, Zhao Zizhao. The person he'd spoken to was none other than Yi Zichen. As for the other groomsman on a black horse, it was his younger brother, Zhao Ziming. Yi Zichen was dressed in black. Coupled with the black horse he rode, he seemed rather cold and stern under the moonlight. General Zhao, you're exaggerating. City Lord Lin has 2 bridesmaids. Out of all the guests, only your brother and I are suited to be groomsmen. Besides, General Zhao, City Lord Lin, and I were friends during the demon invasion. It wouldn't be inappropriate for me to be your groomsman, would it? As he spoke, Yi Zichen's face was completely expressionless. He simply gazed indifferently at the bright moon above him. Emperor Yi, if that's the case, then if I were to continue being polite, it would only make me seem pretentious. Zhao Zizhao smiled calmly, but when he noticed Yi Zichen's gaze, he couldn't help but laugh. Emperor Yi, why do you keep staring at the moon? Don't you think the moon is beautiful tonight? Under the bright moon, moonlight shone on the ground. It should have been late at night, but the moonlight drove away the darkness of the night. Yi Zichen continued to stare at the bright moon in front of him. He wasn't just spouting nonsense. Tonight's moon was indeed much brighter than usual. It wasn't a full moon. Is that so? I'm just a vulgar person, so I can't comment on this beautiful scenery. Zhao Zizhao raised his eyebrows and pursed his lips. Yi Zichen, however, acted as if he hadn't heard him at all. He simply stared at the bright moon. Vaguely, he seemed to see 2 pretty figures on the bright moon. I've finally coaxed the little ancestor to sleep. I've troubled you for the past few days. Please don't take it to heart. Xiao Yumei's willowy brows were tinged with exhaustion. The little ancestor, she spoke of was naturally Lil Tiantian. In truth, they'd already been in the heavenly court for a few days, but they didn't have the sensation of day and night in the modern realm. That girl, Lil Tiantian, fooled around with Xiao Yumei and Chang Yi for a few days. Only then did she run to Chang Yi's bedroom, pick up Yi2, and go to sleep. Fortunately, Xiao Yumei was now a sky immortal, so she was able to resist the little ancestor scourge. She's a kid, after all. She likes to play around. Naturally, I won't take it to heart. I quite like Tian. Besides, it's been 10,000 years since someone has come to my moon palace. I'm more than happy that you're here to add some liveliness. Why would I take it to heart? Chang Yi pursed her lips and smiled. Then she looked at Xiao Yumei, who sat beside her, and said, "That's right. It's been so long, but this is the first time we've sat together." "That's right." Xiao Yumei nodded. If one paid close attention, they'd realize that even their tones were very similar. They seemed to have no desires or desires, as if they were as ethereal as fairies. "Actually, I wanted to say something before, but I never found the opportunity." Chang Yi smiled upon hearing this. "Me too." Their eyes met. When they saw their own reflections in each other's eyes, their hearts actually palpitated, and a strange feeling spread from the bottom of their hearts. At this moment, Xiao Yumei turned her head away. Chang also did the same. The two didn't say anything. They just stared at the darkness below the moon palace. After a long while, You say, Xiao Yumei and Chang, you spoke at almost the same time, then turned their heads. When they saw each other looking at them, the two of them spoke in tacit understanding. You say first. When they once again said the same sentence in tacit understanding, they looked at each other for a moment and laughed out loud. The two of us really are quite similar. After laughing for a while, Chang Yi covered her mouth with her hand. That's right. Xiao Yumei nodded non-committally. The first time I saw you, I had a strange feeling. I can't explain it, but it's just strange. I feel the same way. Chang Yi nodded. That senior vaguely mentioned that the two of us might have some sort of relationship. I just don't know what it is. If we really are related, it looks to me like we're sisters. With that, Chang Yi seemed to think of something and arched her brows. I almost forgot how you got here. Could it be that Zichen sent you up here? If so, why didn't he come with you? Xiao Yumei suddenly froze. She blinked at Chang Yi. Didn't you give Tian some sort of treasure that sent us here? Chang Yi couldn't help but freeze, then shook her head. Although the Moon Palace is a subordinate of the Heavenly Court, there are some restrictions that prevent those from the lower realms from directly entering the Moon Palace. When you and Tian suddenly appeared in the palace, I thought Zichen had sent you here. Was that not the case? The two of them looked at each other in astonishment. From the look in each other's eyes, they could tell that their astonishment was genuine. Could it be? Xiao Yumei said in disbelief. But at that moment, she sensed someone behind her. When he turned around, he saw that. Chapter 836. Chapter 836, War Goddess Tian. When Xiao Yumei turned around and saw Tian, she couldn't immediately confirm whether it was her or not. She still had that adorable face, but the hair on her back, it was white. It wasn't the kind of white that was filled with the aura of death. Instead, there was a hint of sparkling white in it. What? You don't recognize me? Tian's tone was especially cold. Her white hair touched the ground, and she stood barefoot on the Moon Palace, a faint smile on her face. Xiao Yumei couldn't accept such a cold tone. She shook her head and stood up from the bench. Is it Tian? Chang also turned around at this moment. When she saw Tian's appearance, her pupils constricted. That's me, I'm Tian. Tian's eyes narrowed into slits as she smiled. Then, she retracted her smile and tilted her head. Of course, you can also call me War Goddess. Tian. The scene before them left Xiao Yumei and Chang Yi speechless. They both had the same question in their hearts. Why did Tian become like this? Judging from your expressions, you must be quite shocked. A cute smile appeared on Tian's adorable face. She blinked her eyes, and the aura of a superior slowly emanated from her. You, Xiao Yumei bit her lip. After a moment of hesitation, she ran towards Tian. Just who are you? Hurry up and get out of Tian's body. The aura of a ruler was very terrifying. It was already incredible that a mere sky immortal like Xiao Yumei hadn't knelt on the ground in fear. But when she faced this fear, she actually charged towards Tian. This was a mother's love for her child. At this moment, she wasn't someone who felt fear from the aura of a ruler. Instead, she was a mother worried about her daughter. Tian smiled. Her smile was no different from Tian's usual smile. Her gaze was gentle as she looked at the somewhat crazed Xiao Yumei. I'm Tian. Didn't I say from the start? I'm Tian. But I'm sorry, I've been lying to you from the start. I lied to you about my true identity, Tian. You're not. Why not? Do you want me to tell you what happened when you took me away from the orphanage? He was stunned. Xiao Yumei stared blankly ahead. When she heard the words orphanage, she didn't know what to say anymore. Do you know why I don't like to talk? You think I'm autistic, right? However, the truth was that my divinity had shattered and I had fallen from the god realm to the modern realm where you lived. At that time, I was filled with resistance towards this unfamiliar environment. I was not familiar with this place, so I could only keep my mouth shut to conceal my identity and ensure my own safety. How could this be? Xiao Yumei muttered in a daze. Tian, how could this be? After that, we ran into Yi Zichen. From the moment I laid eyes on him, I knew he was the Divine Father's chosen son of heaven. I also deduced that you were his fated star. That's why I pretended to be close to him and let the two of you interact. Tian smiled faintly, but in Xiao Yumei's eyes, her smile was no longer childlike. The current Tian was only a stranger to her. Actually, I've always been very grateful to you. It was your appearance that made me feel a bit more warm in that unfamiliar environment. In order to repay you, I've always been secretly protecting you, but you never noticed. Of course, it's impossible for you to notice. I could have left a long time ago, but to tell the truth, I don't know why I couldn't bear to leave you. Furthermore, I wanted to see what kind of situation the Divine Father's chosen Son of Heaven would have, so I stayed by your side. You might not know this, but pretending to be a child is really tiring. In order to not arouse your suspicions, I've always acted like an idiot. But I really want to say that I'm really grateful to you. Don't say any more. Xiao Yumei reached out and stopped Tian. At that moment, she was already unable to listen to any of this. Tian's every word toppled her past. She couldn't accept it, nor did she want to accept it. At that moment, her legs gave way. Chang'e reached out to support her. Tian wanted to go over, but in the end, she resisted the urge. You're Tian, right? After a while, Xiao Yumei let out a long sigh. You said that pretending before was very tiring. Now that you've revealed your identity, you don't want to pretend anymore, right? Actually, say no more. Xiao Yumei interrupted her with a smile. Since that's the case, then you can leave. No one could understand the pain in her heart when she said those words. Just now, Tian had said that she was very grateful to Xiao Yumei for appearing. She felt a bit of warmth in that unfamiliar environment. Wasn't Xiao Yumei the same? It was Tian who'd accompanied her through the darkest and lowest times of her life. It was Tian who'd supported her through that path. She'd treated Tian like her own daughter, but now, the goddess of war? Tian? She'd rather believe that all of this was just a dream. When she woke up, Tian would obediently lie by her side, muttering "mommy" in her sleep. For a moment, Xiao Yumei couldn't help but cry. Yumei, Chang, he worriedly called her name. She didn't know why, but her heart actually ached as well. She felt it. Chang, he clearly wasn't Xiao Yumei, but she could feel the sorrow and desolation in her heart. Unbeknownst to her, Tian, who'd been standing indifferently in front of her, was also trembling. She was the goddess of war, one of the 36 true gods who'd been born since the beginning of the god realm. But she also had feelings. They'd been together for 2 years, even though 2 years didn't count for much to her. But these 2 years were extremely important to her. Seeing Xiao Yumei sobbing on Chang Yi's shoulder, Tian felt as if her heart was being pierced by needles. She'd always told herself that she was the goddess of war, one of the 36 true gods. She had to maintain her calm at all times. But her heart still ached. After a long while, she finally composed herself and spoke. "Before I leave, I still have something to do." With that, she soared into the air, her hands forming seals. Two key-like lights landed between Xiao Yumei and Chang Yi's eyebrows. In an instant, the lights grew brighter. Qi Tian's face was filled with disappointment. She bowed deeply toward Xiao Yumei. Chapter 837. Chapter 837. Don't let them down him. Within a small subdimension, Lin Ru was sitting cross-legged, munching on melon seeds. Suddenly, she arched her eyebrows. She put her leg on the ground, reached out, and tapped the air. A ripple appeared where her finger had touched. She frowned at the ripple. "Why do people always challenge my bottom line?" She muttered impatiently, then disappeared from the subdimension. When she reappeared, she was in the Moon Palace. She squinted her eyes. Even she couldn't look directly at the blinding light, but she sensed that the light wasn't the one who'd challenge her rules. But she'd already locked onto its location. It was the Moon Palace. She frowned and looked around. Huh? Lin Ru couldn't help but be taken aback. Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me? Tian shouldn't be like that. Just now, when she looked around, she vaguely thought she'd seen Tian. However, when she focused her gaze, Tian was nowhere to be seen. Never mind. What's the point of worrying so much? I hate trouble, muttered Lin Ru to herself. Lin Ru muttered to herself. Since she couldn't find the person who challenged her rules, she naturally wouldn't pursue it. Shortly after, her gaze fell onto the white light. She twitched her mouth. Snap! She snapped her fingers. The space around Xiao Yumei and Chang Yi was instantly cut off. The blinding light was also locked within the space, unable to be released. Done. With that, Lin Ru disappeared once more. When the radiance of the bright moon in the sky suddenly dimmed, the world also became much darker at this moment. Whoosh! The torches they prepared long ago were finally put to use. The light illuminated the surroundings once more. The sky really darkened quickly. Fortunately, we prepared torches in advance. Zhao Zizhao chuckled, while Yi Zichen knitted his brows. It was too strange. The moon had been unbelievably bright just a moment ago, but now it had suddenly lost its light. To Yi Zichen, this sort of abrupt change was extremely strange. When a moon had suddenly dimmed, his heart had skipped a beat. He thought that the devil race had come. However, from Zhao Zizhao's expression, he could tell that the people from the demon realm had yet to come out. Then this month, Emperor Yi. Just as Yi Zichen was deep in thought, Zhao Zizhao interrupted his thoughts. It's about time. The moon you've been admiring is about to go dark. Do you think we should head into the city? Yi Zichen was speechless. General Zhao, this is your wedding with City Lord Lin. You should be the one to decide the time. I'm just a groomsman. You can enter whenever you want. I'll follow you. That's true. Zhao Zizhao put on a look of realization, then straightened his back and spoke to the guards of honor and musicians behind him. Enter the city. The moment they set off, the musicians began to play. 5 miles to escort the bride. General Zhao is here. General Zhao is here. Get ready. A lookout on the walls of 100 Flowers City suddenly roared. The soldiers outside the city stood on either side of the city gates in a single line. The formation was 100 meters long. They crossed their spears and stood ramrod straight, as if they were on a military parade. Congratulations on your wedding, General Zhao and City Lord Lin. Let them through. When Zhao Zizhao appeared at the very front, the guard at the very front retracted their spears. After that, each group of spears at the back retracted in a rhythmic manner until the last guard of honor walked in. Only then did they cross their spears. They stepped into the city. Horse hooves trampled rose petals. At the same time, flower petals fluttered down from the sky. 100 Flower City lived up to its reputation as the capital of flowers. As colorful flower petals drifted down from the sky, Zhao Zizhao and Lin Shihe's wedding seemed even more romantic. As for the origin of these flower petals, so long as you looked up, you'd see the citizens of 100 Flower City holding flower baskets in their hands. They stepped through the air and slowly descended. It was obvious that they'd done this for the wedding. The citizens of Hundred Flower City had gone to great lengths as well. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh as he watched. Not bad. Was this General Zhao's idea all along? Emperor Yi, you really think too highly of me. I'm just a martial artist. How could I possibly have thought of all this? I suppose the citizens organized this themselves, replied Zhao Zizhao calmly. So that's how it is. The citizens of Hundred Flower City are really putting in a lot of effort for City Lord Lin and General Zhao's wedding. Yi Zichen looked at the lanterns lining the streets, then at the flower petals falling from the sky. General Zhao, you absolutely can't let them down. Zhao Zizhao, who was sitting on horseback, suddenly froze. After a while, he finally reacted and replied, That's right. Emperor Yi, what did you just say? I didn't quite hear you. No way, General Zhao. With your cultivation, how could you not hear me? Yi Zichen arched his brows. Did you really not hear me? Or did you not want to hear me? Emperor Yi, please don't overthink things. I really didn't hear you. When I thought about how I was about to marry Shiha, I was overjoyed, but I was a bit distracted. Is that so? Yi Zichen pressed his lips into a smile. Then let me repeat myself. Just now, I said that you mustn't let down the citizens of this city. That's right, but I'm a bit confused. Why do you say that? Asked Zhao Zizhao in confusion. Look at the citizens of this city. They're working so hard for General Zhao and City Lord Lin's wedding. Only Hundred Flowers City has citizens like this. General Zhao, you must treat them well, replied Yi Zichen. Of course, said Zhao Zizhao, his expression unchanged. Zhao Zizhao's expression did not change as he smiled. I'm a general of Hundred Flower City. It is my duty to protect the citizens here. Besides, Shiha is about to become my wife. Whether for public or private reasons, I will live and die with Hundred Flower City. I will protect them. Huh. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sneer inwardly. This guy really knew how to put on an act. However, he couldn't voice his disdain. If that's the case, that'd naturally be for the best. Emperor Yi, there seems to be a hidden meaning behind your words, asked Zhao Zizhao tentatively. General Zhao, you're overthinking things. I'm definitely the type of person who says what's on my mind. I don't like beating around the bush. Since General Zhao said that you will protect the people of this city, then I naturally believe in General Zhao's words and express my gratitude on behalf of the people of this city. It's my duty, replied Zhao Zizhao with a smile. Zhao Zizhao replied with a smile, then ignored Yi Zichen. He looked straight ahead, then spurred his horse forward slowly. About 10 minutes later, Zhao Zizhao came to a stop. Chapter 838. Chapter 838. Zhao Ziming's killing deep within the boudoir. Lin Shiha sat on a chair in front of a dressing table, her head covered by a red veil. She clutched at the hem of her clothes. Clearly, she was extremely nervous. Xia, go see if they're here yet. Lin Xia, who was wearing a white dress and standing beside Lin Shiha, couldn't help but tease her. Big sister, even if you're getting married, there's no need to be in such a hurry. You've asked me that question more than 10 times in the past hour. I know, right? Big sister Lin, you're in too much of a hurry. Mo couldn't help but tease her. Lin Shiha had invited her to be her bridesmaid at the very beginning. As bridesmaids, Mo and Lin Xia were accompanying her at her boudoir. You two damn girls. You even dare tease your big sister? Lin Shiha was so embarrassed that Mo and Lin Xia couldn't help but laugh. However, despite their laughter, Mo's heart was just as anxious. At noon on the day of the wedding, Mo and Yi Zichen sat in their room. Just then, Yi Zichen finally gave in to Mo's pestering and told her his brilliant plan. This is the brilliant plan you're talking about? Mo couldn't help but frown. When Yi Zichen heard that, he covered her mouth and looked around vigilantly. Keep your voice down. You're afraid others won't know, right? Mo pushed Yi Zichen's hand away, then lowered her voice. Is this my fault? You said you had a brilliant plan, and I thought you had some sort of brilliant trick up your sleeve. But now you're telling me your brilliant plan is to become Zhao Zizhao's groomsman? Is there a problem? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows at Zhuo Mo, then grabbed an apple from the fruit platter on the table and took a bite, then mumbled, "I'm telling you, this is absolutely brilliant. If I become his groomsman, I'll always be by his side. So long as he tries anything funny, I'll be able to detect it." "But that's too dangerous," said Zhuo Mo with a frown. "Nothing ventured, nothing gained. What's more, what kind of strength do I have? What's so dangerous about me?" said Yi Zichen nonchalantly. "I'm still a little worried. Can't you see them from here? Can't you use that trick?" No. I've already decided. I'm going to be his groomsman, so don't try to talk me out of it. Just stay in the City Lord's mansion and accompany City Lord Lin. I'll definitely be fine, trust me." "Yi Zichen, why aren't you here yet?" So Mo lightly bit her lips. Her heart was filled with anxiety. Just then, a faint sound of gongs and drums could be heard from outside the room. "Sis, you don't need to be so anxious now. It looks like your husband has already arrived." Lin Xie giggled and teased. Zhuo Mo, on the other hand, became the most nervous. Nothing must happen. Nothing must happen. She kept praying in her heart until creak. The door to the boudoir was pushed open. "Xia, I'm here." Zhao Zizhao, who wore a red robe and a red flower on his chest, walked in front. Half a step behind him was a man in black. Yi Zichen. Zhao Zizhao smiled warmly and walked towards Lin Xia. However, her two bridesmaids looked at Yi Zichen in a daze. His eyes were bright, and his face was as sharp as a knife. Coupled with his black clothes and cold gaze, it was hard to tell apart. This was definitely the image of a lady killer. "Hello, bridesmaids," Yi Zichen waved his hand. At that moment, Zhuo Mo and Lin Xie returned to their senses. "Zichen, long time no see," Lin Xie said shyly. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and shrugged, then teased her playfully. "Officer Lin, that's not right." "Officer Lin, you're wrong. We met during the day today. Could it be that you've missed me so much that one day apart feels like 3 years? In that case, half a day has passed, so it's been a year and a half. Long time no see. You?" Lin Xie frowned. Lin Xie knit her brows. Yi Zichen hurriedly took a step back. "What? You want to arrest me? I'm telling you, this isn't the modern realm. You can't talk to me about the law. I can't be bothered with you." With that, Lin Xie walked behind Lin Xie. However, she kept an eye on Yi Zichen out of the corner of her eye. Zhao Ziming's expression was terrifyingly dark. Lin Xie was his fiancée, yet they were acting like this in front of him. Creak. He clenched his fists in his sleeves. He couldn't take it anymore. Ziming. At that moment, an angry roar resounded in Zhao Ziming's sea of consciousness. Zhao Ziming, who'd nearly lost his head in anger, came to his senses and saw Zhao Zizhao glaring viciously at him. Zhao Ziming unclenched his fists and walked to Zhao Zizhao's side. "Do you know what you were doing just now?" Zhao Zizhao transmitted once more. "I'm angry." Zhao Ziming gnashed his teeth. "That whore Lin Xie was flirting with Yi Zichen. Just looking at it pisses me off." "Look at yourself," said Zhao Zizhao, glancing sideways. "Isn't it just a woman? If she angers you like this, how can you accomplish anything great? Let me tell you, even if you're angry, you'd better endure it. If you ruin everything, we'll both die." Zhao Ziming couldn't help but tremble at the roar in his sea of consciousness. Then he replied, "Got it." In truth, Yi Zichen had seen all of this. In particular, when Zhao Ziming was about to attack, Yi Zichen clearly sensed his killing intent. It was strong, so strong that even Yi Zichen was a bit stunned. On the surface, Zhao Ziming was roughly at the level of a human immortal, but the killing intent he'd just radiated was absolutely not something a human immortal expert could possess. Furthermore, killing intent wasn't like spiritual energy. It required years of killing and drinking blood in order to become dense. Normally, generals on the battlefield all had rather dense killing intent, but Yi Zichen couldn't figure out why someone like Zhao Ziming would have such a strong killing intent. Could it be that this was Zhao Zizhao's brilliant plan? But this sort of brilliant plan couldn't deal with the demons at all. After teaching Zhao Ziming a lesson, Zhao Zizhao's expression softened, and he took Lin Xia's hand. "Emperor Yi, Do you think we can go out and hold the ceremony now? General Zhao, I've told you on the way here that this is your wedding. You don't have a matchmaker or your parents, so whatever you say goes. Why do you need to ask for my opinion every step of the way? Yi Zichen said helplessly, then glanced at Zhao Ziming, only to discover that Zhao Ziming wasn't looking at him. Emperor Yi, your status is respected. I wouldn't dare slight you, said Zhao Zizhao with a warm smile. Since Emperor Yi has no objections, let's go out and pay our respects. Everyone in the room followed the newlyweds out. Yi Zichen was at the very back, but just as he was about to leave, buzz, buzz. Yi Zichen's phone rang at an opportune time. He fished it out of his pocket. Chapter 839. Everyone's here. Yi Zichen's phone buzzed and vibrated. He stared fixedly at the notification on the screen. The struggle for the three realms is about to begin. Would you like to teleport to the mission location ahead of time? There were indeed two options below. Accept. Reject. What the hell? Yi Zichen frowned. He naturally knew that his phone would notify him of the struggle for the three realms, but he hadn't expected it to be like this. It was like he was doing a mission in a game. Yi Zichen, what are you doing? Come on out. Zhuo Mo stopped waving. Yi Zichen nodded, then tapped reject and put his phone back in his pocket. Teleport. He didn't have the time to teleport there. He still hadn't dealt with Zhao Zizhao's schemes. If he teleported to the mission location now, wouldn't that ruin everything? What were you doing just now? When Yi Zichen ran past, Zhuo Mo frowned. Did you discover anything? What? Yi Zichen was still preoccupied with the struggle for the three realms, so he hadn't heard what Zhuo Mo had just said. Can't you focus on the future or not? Zhuo Mo looked at him helplessly, then snuck a peek at the people walking in front of her and transmitted. Haven't you been by Zhao Zizhao's side all this time? Did you discover anything? The wedding is about to take place. You're already a clan head. Why are you still so impatient? Yi Zichen patted her on the shoulder. Don't be so nervous. Learn from me. Take a deep breath. Slap. Zhuo Mo angrily slapped Yi Zichen's hand away. Don't be so cheeky. You still haven't told me whether or not you discovered anything. I didn't. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. He knows his place. I really didn't notice anything out of the ordinary at the time, but we'll deal with it as it comes. It'll be fine. Yi Zichen and Zhuo Mo whispered to each other in the back. Zhao Zizhao, who led the way, held Lin Xia's hand and smiled strangely. Before long, his smile faded and he slowly walked into the front hall. No matter what, Lin Xia was a city lord from the outer regions of the Immortal Region. She had quite a bit of status. Naturally, many people would attend her wedding. The front hall of the city lord's mansion was already full of people. The guests were also very particular about where they sat. Those with higher statuses would naturally sit closer to where the ceremony was being held, while those with lower statuses would sit outside. Moreover, at each of their tables, merchants sat with merchants and bureaucrats sat with bureaucrats. As for the peak powers outside the immortal realms, they all sat at a table, either with their sect masters or elders in the lead. There were also a few disciples of their respective powers at the table. City Lord Lin is here. Someone among the guests shouted, and all the guests present turned to look in that direction. Zhao Zizhao, dressed in a red groom's robe, led Lin Xia, whose head was covered by a veil. City Lord Lin, congratulations. Congratulations on your wedding, City Lord Lin. Congratulations. All the guests present congratulated Lin Xia, but not a single one of them mentioned Zhao Zizhao. Indeed, Zhao Zizhao was a general, and he was somewhat famous in Hundred Flower City. But in the end, he was just a general. Compared to Lin Xia, he was far inferior. In the eyes of the guests, Zhao Zizhao was nothing more than someone who married into the family. Zhao Zizhao, however, didn't care at all. He maintained his polite smile and nodded at the guests. Congratulations on tying the knot, City Lord Lin and General Zhao. My master is currently in seclusion and can't attend. My master is currently in seclusion and is unable to attend, so he asked me to bring my fellow disciples to congratulate you. At that moment, Li Jiai stood and congratulated them. She wore a long, light-colored dress, and her hair casually draped over her shoulders. Her fellow disciples stood by her side, and they all bowed to Zhao Zijiao and Lin Shihe. Chief Disciple Li. Zhao Zijiao cupped his hands in greeting. At that moment, there was another commotion among the guests. Emperor Yi, family head Zhua, Yi Zichen and Zhua Mo, who'd lagged behind, followed. As the guests bowed, they stood behind Zhao Zijiao and Lin Shihe. Jiai. Yi Zichen froze. When it came to Li Jiai, he didn't know what to say. In contrast, when Li Jiai saw him, her expression froze for a moment. Then she recovered and smiled. I never would have guessed, Emperor, you would come as well. That's right. Emperor Yi is my groomsman. I'm overwhelmed by the unexpected favor, said Zhao Zijiao with a calm smile. Originally, before my master went into seclusion, he gave me a congratulatory gift for General Zhao. But since Emperor Yi is here, this congratulatory gift. Hey, I'm not taking the blame. A congratulatory gift should be given. It has nothing to do with me, said Yi Zichen. If it's because of me that General Zhao doesn't receive a congratulatory gift from the head of the 100 Flowers Gate, and you blame me, I won't be able to bear the consequences. Emperor Yi, you must be joking. How could I dare blame you? Laughed Zhao Zijiao. All right, then I'll take it out. Before my master went into seclusion, he told me to personally give this congratulatory gift to General Zhao. With that, Li Jiai flipped her right hand, and a pill bottle appeared in her palm. This is a barrier-breaking pill. It allows you to ignore the shackles of cultivation and directly break through. The head of the sect knows that General Zhao has been stuck at the peak of the Sky Immortal realm. Although this pill isn't as effective for Sky Immortals, it might still be of some help to you. How could the head of the sect give me such a grand gift? How could I possibly accept it? Zhao Zijiao's mouth refused, but his hand still took the pill. When he saw this, Yi Zichen couldn't help but burst into laughter. Zhua Mo hurriedly nudged him, but he waved his hands apologetically. I'm sorry, I just thought of something. That scene just now was clearly the scene of someone saying they didn't want red envelopes, but then opening their pockets and asking someone to stuff them in. But it had to be said, the head of the 100 Flowers Gate was truly generous. A barrier-breaking pill. This was no ordinary pill. Even at old Lord Taishang, it was a rare commodity. Emperor Yi, it seems you've thought of something good, replied Zhao Zijiao. Yi Zichen nodded non-committally, then arched his brows. General Zhao, you seem to care a lot about my actions. Just now, when we were preparing to escort the bride, this is clearly your wedding. But this is clearly your wedding. Now that the auspicious time has come, shouldn't General Zhao? There's no rush. At this moment, Zhao Zijiao suddenly laughed. That smile, it was a faint, indescribable color. Not everyone's here yet. With that, someone kicked open the gates of the city lord's manor. Everyone's finally here. Chapter 840. Chapter 840. The arrival of the Black Dragon Bang. Someone kicked open the gates of the city lord's manor with a loud bang. The instant the gates opened, several guards flew in. When they saw this, the wedding guests instantly fell into an uproar. Lin Shihe couldn't help but place her hand on her veil. Judging from her actions, it was clear that she wanted to remove it. However, perhaps because she considered that removing her veil now was somewhat inauspicious, she suppressed her hand in the end. Zijiao, what's going on? Zhao Zijiao smiled calmly the entire time. He didn't answer Lin Shihe's question, but Yi Zichen did. General Zhao's friends have come to attend the wedding. Is that so? Then why do I feel like something's wrong? Asked Lin Shihe, completely unaware of what was going on. Since they're Zijiao's friends, then Zijiao should go entertain them and make arrangements. That won't be necessary. General Zhao's friends have come with ill intentions. Yi Zichen's expression was incomparably dark. He stared intently at Zhao Zijiao and snorted. I never would have guessed General Zhao's friends were so extensive. You've even befriended demons? What? When she heard that, Lin Shihe lifted her veil, looked up at the gates of the city lord's manor. What greeted her eyes was a scene of chaos. The city guards brandished their swords and sabers, and a group of dark-skinned humans stood before them. Demons. Lin Shihe's fair hand reached into the air, and a flexible, violet sword appeared in her hand. Almost without any hesitation, She carried her flexible sword and directly charged toward the gate of the Devil clan. Slash! Slash! Sword light flashed. When her sword struck the group of demons, they all turned into a cloud of purple chi and disappeared from the City Lord's mansion. Is this how City Lord Lin treats her guests? I've come to offer my congratulations. At this moment, a purple-robed man suddenly appeared at the entrance of the City Lord's mansion. His face was covered in dragon scales. His lips were purple, and his eyes were bloodshot. He was 2 meters tall, but his body was extremely thin. He had a devilish smile on his face. His right hand rested on the doorframe of the City Lord's manor as he grinned at Lin Shiha. I don't know when I became friends with you. Lin Shiha frowned at the man who had appeared at the door. This time, she didn't move rashly. She sensed danger from this man. She could only use words to stall for time and look for a loophole in his defense. Naturally, I don't have any ties with City Lord Lin. However, I do have some ties with City Lord Lin's husband. The man at the door smiled faintly, then raised his brows at Zhao Zizhao. Am I right, General Zhao? Lin Shiha turned her head in astonishment. She looked at Zhao Zizhao in confusion, as if she wanted an explanation. However, she saw Zhao Zizhao walking towards her and pressing down her hand that was holding the flexible sword with a light smile. At the same time, he said to the man at the door, "Let's go. You're a little late. I told you to move a few hours ago. At the time, I was at a critical juncture in my breakthrough, so I was delayed a bit," laughed the demon. "But now, it seems I didn't delay anything important." If I hadn't been delaying, do you think I wouldn't have?" Zhao Zizhao snorted, his expression sinister. The wedding should have been held at noon. However, since he hadn't received any response from the demons, he'd forced the wedding to take place at night. Otherwise, the wedding would have been held at noon and the guests would have left. Their plans would have been ruined. Zizhao, as she listened to Zhao Zizhao and the demon's conversation, Lin Shiha's eyes brimmed with disbelief. She stared blankly at the scene before her, but Yi Zichen suddenly appeared by her side, pulled her behind him, and snorted. "City Lord Lin, do you still not understand? General Zhao has been involved with the demons for a long time." With that, he narrowed his eyes at the man at the door. "Black Dragon, long time no see. Yellow Emperor. No, I should call you Emperor Yi now." The man by the door grinned. "It's been a while. Emperor Yi, you might not know how much I've missed you." "You're right," Yi Zichen said. "What are you missing me for? Shouldn't you be missing Guli?" said Yi Zichen mockingly. "I heard he stole your base of operations, and now your entire demon race is holed up in some unstable subdimension like stray dogs. Many thanks for your help, Emperor Yi. I'll settle my debt with Guli sooner or later, but this time," Black Dragon smiled, "I've come to take over the 3 realms." "You?" said Yi Zichen disdainfully. By now, all the guests were on edge. It was actually the devils who had come. After experiencing the invasion of the devil race last time, it could be said that the people in the immortal region had deeply engraved the shadow of the devil race in their hearts. Now that Black Dragon had appeared, they were certain. He was a demon. The peak-level factions of the immortal region had already drawn their weapons and were secretly circulating their spiritual energy. At the same time, they looked around vigilantly. If Black Dragon dared come, he definitely hadn't come alone. That's right, just me and my hundreds of thousands of Ironblood warriors. Black Dragon narrowed his eyes and rubbed his fingers. Last time, I really did lose to Emperor Yi, but I absolutely won't suffer the same fate a second time. Is that so? Yi Zichen was flabbergasted. His attitude was clearly mocking Black Dragon. So Homo stood in the back, her heart in her throat. The demons really had come. Meanwhile, Yi Zichen was still in a standoff with the demons. Although it seemed like they were just exchanging words, everyone knew that the demons and the 3 realms would forever stand on opposite sides. Fighting was only a matter of time. "Emperor Yi, you don't seem to believe me," said Black Dragon with narrowed eyes. "Your Excellency, do you have any tricks up your sleeve? Would you mind letting me see them for myself?" With that, Yi Zichen's aura locked on a Black Dragon. However, Black Dragon merely smiled calmly in response to this. "Since Emperor Yi wants to see them for yourself, there's no harm in letting you see them." As his voice faded, Heilong raised his hand and gently patted it. At the same time, he spoke with a faint smile. Take them all under control. In an instant, the demon race's warriors suddenly appeared behind the guests. At this moment, all of them held sharp blades in their hands and placed them on the guests' necks. So long as they wanted it, they could. Chapter 841. The tables turned when the cold blade was placed on the neck of the guests. More than half of the guests in the hall gave up resisting. Kindness did not command soldiers, and righteousness did not amass wealth. Most of the people who gave up were merchants. Most of them didn't have much of a noble heart. In their eyes, their lives were more important than righteousness. It was certain that if someone dared to admit defeat, most of the merchants would follow suit. Jiai. When she saw that Li Jiai had also been restrained by the demon's blade, Lin Xie immediately wanted to help. Although they'd never interacted with each other in the modern realm, ever since they'd arrived in the immortal region, one of them was the city lord's younger sister. And the other was the head disciple of Hundred Flower City. Since they were both from the modern realm, they naturally had a good relationship with each other. However, before she could take a few steps, a sword was placed horizontally in front of her neck. Zhao Ziming. Lin Xie almost shouted. At this moment, Zhao Ziming had a feminine smile on his face. He held a long sword in his right hand and held it horizontally across his neck. Xie, I definitely can't bring myself to do anything to you. Just stand here obediently. I can guarantee that no one will hurt you. However, that's all on the premise that you're obedient. If you don't, the tip of the sword pressed forward, leaving behind a bloody gash on Lin Xie's white, tender neck. Do you understand? Zizhao. Even now, Lin Xie didn't believe it. She didn't want to believe that Zhao Zizhao was involved with demons. She looked at him in confusion, but all she got was a cold stare. You. Lin Xie couldn't speak. Her lips quivered, her expression filled with indescribable disappointment. I never would have guessed that I was just a pawn in your hands. Don't say that, Xie. In my heart, I truly love you. Zhao Zizhao raised his hand to touch Lin Xie's cheek. The immortal region is already mine. There's no need for us to hold a wedding. Then can you let them all go for my sake? Lin Xie stared into his eyes. That's impossible. Zhao Zizhao smiled faintly, caressing Lin Xie's face. These guests are an important part of my plan. I can't let them go, but I truly love you. His fingers gently stroked Lin Xie's cheek, and she smiled. Pa, get your filthy hands off me. His cold gaze swept across Zhao Zizhao and Black Dragon's faces, but his heart was filled with a bitter smile. She was so silly. She'd never considered why Emperor Yi would cause trouble for Zhao Zizhao as soon as he saw him. Could it be purely because of Zhao Ziming? It shouldn't be. No matter what, Emperor Yi was a man of status. He wouldn't take his anger out on Zhao Zizhao for the sake of a nobody like Zhao Ziming. In Emperor Yi's eyes, he must have done something wrong. Judging from the current situation, this was indeed the case. Emperor Yi had long since known that Zhao Zizhao was involved with the demons, but she had never doubted him. Since she was able to become the lord of the city, she must have some skill in manipulating people's thoughts. But, City Lord Lin, you're truly heartless. Brother Zhao is completely devoted to you. City Lord Lin, laughed Black Dragon. Shut up, shouted Lin Xie, her eyes cold and furious. You're all jackals of the same tribe. With that, she looked around at the situation. Right now, only she and Emperor Yi weren't under the control of the demons. What exactly do you want? You want to take advantage of this opportunity to wipe out the immortal region? You're dreaming too much. Quite a few nobles have come to attend the wedding, but I, Lin Xie, don't have the ability to gather all the nobles of the immortal region. Reality proves that not all of the immortal region's factions are present. What do I want? I'd like to ask Emperor Yi what you want. Black Dragon leaned against the doorway, crossed his arms, and looked down at Yi Xie with a confident, playful smile. Emperor Yi, just now, you wanted to see what I'm capable of. I've already shown you. What do you think, Emperor Yi? Oh, it's my turn to speak. Yi Zichen arched his brows, then smiled relaxedly and shrugged. Not bad. You instantly took control of the situation. You've improved quite a bit compared to before. To tell the truth, I'm rather surprised at your invisibility skills. It seems you haven't been slacking off lately. You've developed quite a few team skills. This is all thanks to your dear friend, Grandmaster Su. His group invisibility spiritual formation can make everyone on your side invisible, and even hide their auras. This concealment of auras is the true highlight of the formation. If it weren't for that, given Emperor Ye's strength, you'd be able to break through it in a matter of seconds. It was obvious that Black Dragon was very pleased with himself. He spoke with fervor and assurance, as if he were showing off. A hint of playfulness crept into his expression. Earlier, he'd fled from the immortal region, but half of it was because of Yi Zichen's interference. If he could see Yi Zichen in defeat now, Black Dragon would be delighted. "You're quite self-aware," said Yi Zichen, not at all modest. Rather, he approved of Black Dragon's flattery. "I've seen Emperor Ye's methods for myself." Black Dragon smiled calmly, then looked indifferently at the restrained guests. Then his gaze landed on Yi Zichen, only to discover that from start to finish, Yi Zichen's expression hadn't changed in the slightest. It was very relaxed and a little cynical. "Emperor Yi, you don't seem worried at all. Could it be that you're planning on using the three realms against me? I do have some information. The three realms are currently defenseless, and the higher-ups have all gone to attend some sort of conference. You even know that." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. "Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you emerge victorious. Emperor Yi, you and the three realms have left me with such beautiful memories. How could I not be cautious this time?" Black Dragon smiled modestly. "It's good to be cautious." Yi Zichen confirmed Black Dragon's words, then said, "That's right. You don't seem particularly cautious." Black Dragon had already noticed something from Yi Zichen's words. Before long, he saw Yi Zichen raise his hand. Yi Zichen snapped his fingers. When he saw this, Black Dragon instinctively tensed up. Then he saw the bodies of all the guests who came to attend the wedding became distorted. The devil soldiers behind them all looked at this scene in a daze until the guests disappeared one by one. Chapter 842. The crowd reacted. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The guests twisted and disappeared from the manor. In the blink of an eye, only the chief disciple of the 100 Flowers Gate, Li Jiai, and Lin Xie remained. Zhao Ziming had pressed his sword against her neck. The crowd was astonished. After a while, Black Dragon stood up, clapped his hands, and laughed. "Emperor Yi, nice move. You flatter me, you flatter me." Yi Zichen smiled modestly, but Zhao Zijiao's expression was dark as he roared at Lin Xie. "You're playing me." His chest heaved. It was clear that he was truly furious. He'd planned for this day for half a year. Everything was going according to his plan, and he was just about to take the next step. "General Zhao, don't be so irritable. This isn't a competition of whose voice is louder." Yi Zichen smiled calmly. "City Lord Lin has no idea. You can tell just by looking at her expression. Don't blame others for your own failures, okay? You?" Bang! Just as Zhao Zijiao was about to attack, Yi Zichen reached out and patted him on the shoulder, then stomped him into the ground. Instant kill. Absolutely instant kill. All of this happened in the time it takes a spark to fly off a flint. No one saw Yi Zichen's movements clearly. When they came to their senses, they discovered that Yi Zichen had already stomped Zhao Zijiao beneath his feet. He couldn't move. "You want to fight me? It seems you chose the wrong opponent." Yi Zichen's eyes flashed with untamed light. He gently pressed his foot against Zhao Zijiao's back and smiled at Black Dragon. "The chess piece you left behind has a bad temper. You'll have to teach him a lesson." Bang! Yi Zichen sent Zhao Zijiao flying into the city Lord's Manor's walls. The enormous impact caused them to collapse. Emperor Yi is right. Black Dragon didn't know why, but he could no longer maintain his previous indifference. Just now, when Yi Zichen fought Zhao Zijiao, even he hadn't seen it clearly. Of course, he didn't think Yi Zichen was stronger than him. His strength came from hundreds of thousands of demon clansmen. He'd sacrificed their blood to gain it. If even that didn't work then, what was there to talk about? He didn't think that Yi Zichen was stronger than him, but he couldn't continue to be arrogant. "Emperor Yi, Compared to you, I'm indeed a step behind. However, I've always had a question in my heart. You want to know where they went, right? Yi Zichen smiled. In a place you'll never be able to find. In Shang, why don't you take a break? Su Zhu looked worriedly at In Shang, who was standing beside her and staring intently at the spiritual formation in front of him. You've been guarding here for 3 days and 3 nights. If you continue like this, your body won't be able to take it. Don't make me sound so fragile. I'm a sovereign, after all. It won't be a big deal for me to endure a few days. In Shang laughed helplessly. Didn't Su Yin just go receive those 2 guests? If nothing unexpected happens, it shouldn't be long before we carry out Emperor Ye's orders. But you're still injured. A small injury like this is nothing. Emperor Ye's instructions are the most important. With that, In Shang once again focused his attention on the spiritual formation in front of him, not the slightest bit out of place. Yi Zichen had instructed him to set it up 3 days ago. Its purpose was simple: spatial transfer. Another quarter of an hour passed by. Buzz. The formation suddenly flared with light. Fatty Een, who'd been paying close attention this entire time, tossed the 8 formation origin chart into the air. Open. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another emerged from the formation. When they appeared in the 9-tailed fox clan's back mountain, they looked around in bewilderment. These people were none other than the guests attending Lin Xia's wedding. Where were we? After the guests landed safely on the 9-tailed fox clan's back mountain, they glanced at each other, their eyes filled with astonishment. Weren't they supposed to be in the city lord's manor? Furthermore, they were in the demons' territory. Demons? Could it be that the demons had? Looking ahead, the group of guests immediately noticed Fatty Een and Su Zhu standing not too far away. What's more, the fat man's clothes just happened to be similar to the ones the demons had worn. Bang! A few of the spineless merchants knelt without hesitation. Your Excellency, I'm just a small peddler. I have no desire to resist, really. You demons must be short on resources when you attacked the immortal region. I can provide you with them, but please spare my little life. That's right, that's right. Me too. Me too. In the blink of an eye, over 10 merchants knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. They didn't have the slightest shred of righteousness. Quite a few of the guests frowned when they saw their behavior. However, a few others seemed hesitant. Should they follow suit and adapt to the circumstances? These bastards. When he heard their spineless words, Fatty Yin's expression grew unsightly. The people Emperor Yi had risked his life to save were all spineless scum. People like them should be left to fend for themselves. That's what he thought, but the spineless merchants had no idea what he was thinking. When they saw Fatty Yin's frown, their hearts leapt to their throats. They kowtowed even more frequently. Some of the guests couldn't bear to watch any longer and berated them. Do you have any backbone at all? The spineless merchants on the ground sneered. In their eyes, this was the only way they could adapt to the circumstances. A few more spineless merchants borrowed the guests' words and shouted, Your Excellency, if you want to kill me, just kill them. My lord, kill them if you want to kill them. Even at this time, they still want to resist you. The guest who just spoken wasn't a spineless person. He snorted coldly at Fatty Een. Demon scum. Scum of the demon clan. Bah, if you have the guts, then kill me here. If I say no, then I'm not a man at all. That's right, demon scum. If you have the guts, kill us. Clearly, only a small portion of the guests were spineless. Most of the guests were hot-blooded. After a few of the guests shouted, the ones who were still wavering gnashed their teeth and followed suit. The guests hooted incessantly. At that moment, the spiritual formation flashed again, and Zhou Emo walked out. When she walked out, she was dumbfounded. Some of the guests were extremely agitated, and a group of them were kneeling and begging for mercy. Weren't we at the wedding just now? Why are we now? This group of people kept saying that they were from the demon race. Could it be that this was the demon world? However, according to what she'd read in ancient texts, the demon realm should have nether demonic energy. But this place gave her a very comfortable feeling. She frowned, then glanced ahead. Fatty Een, Su Zhu, and this familiar lush greenery. Then isn't this